With a lot at stake, Giants Gaming and ROC are going up against each other. Starting off with Giants, yesterday they played H2K, and honestly, they completely fell apart.
Yeah, and I feel like we've seen it before from Giants, how it can start in the pick and ban phase where we just have so many questions. I mean, either it's Pepinero picking a weird champion for himself in the mid lane, or now it's just as a team. They went for Ryze, Jace, and Jinx. 3 carries that cannot protect themselves against a comp from H2K with so much mobility and so many ways of engaging onto them, and it wasn't pretty. I mean, it was such a one-sided game because H2K managed to start to snowball, and poor little Adri in the bottom lane just died over and over.
You say poor Adri, but at the same time, right at the beginning of the game, they got a decent trade, but then disrespected the flash pulverize that came from the Alistar, and that resulted in one of the very early kills. And from there, it just seemed really poor. 0-5-0 at this point, and Ryu, again, just completely catching Adri up.
Stone Cold Killer, man. Find Adri every single time. Doesn't matter, he's not worth gold anymore. You just keep killing him over and over, and Giants were never in the game. And we have seen that before when they face the top teams. Except for the one Fnatic game, they tend to, if they fall behind, it goes very fast. And these top teams can really abuse that.
Now, on the other hand, ROC, though, they have managed to pull out some wins versus the top teams. Not yesterday, though, versus Fnatic, because it was poor Steve once again. But how much of that is honestly to blame on him personally?
It's about 60-40, I would say, in Fnatic's favor on blame, because they had a strategy that worked perfectly. You can see they put Steve so far behind on the gold. Okay, they didn't get the 1 versus 1, the Riven into Rumble, but Fnatic played it so well. They never let Steve get to the minion wave until it was shoved into his turret, and then in comes Forbidden with the Destiny, appears gold card, lock down Steve, take him out of the game.
It wasn't just Fnatic trying to shut down Steve. ROC had as well tried to shut down their own top laner. They didn't give him the gold. They moved him away from minion waves in the lane swap. So Huni was like 50 CS ahead. We're talking about 12 minutes or whatever. Steve just couldn't do anything. Like, as a player, it's impossible at that point. It was about the rest of the team. We saw Varus for Nukedog, a champion we thought were going to be banned more often against him. Still such a fantastic pick, and he showed a good performance. Just not enough for the team to win because they fell so far behind from the lane swap and just Fnatic snowballing from there.
Macro level strategy falling behind is something we honestly have seen from almost every team versus Fnatic, and also yesterday. Looking at ROC, though, it's so important for them to find wins here. Giants today, and then the Copenhagen Wolves Radar and OG up next. Honestly, on a good day, they could take all 3 of them.
I agree. They have beaten Origin before,
yeah.
A few weeks ago, obviously. I do feel this game against Giants is going to be like the big final for Rocket, where we get to see can they make it into the playoffs, because we expect them to beat the Copenhagen Wolves. And yes, okay, they've beaten Origin before, but that's at least going to be a very tough game. Giants right here, if they beat them, they should have a good chance of making playoffs, which is the goal for this team. They always talk about how they can become one of the best, just haven't shown it yet.
I'm going to go ahead, put myself out on the line. I'm going to say they're going to take 2 out of these 3 games.
Oh, we'll see. We'll hold you accountable for that.
Well, you can
write it down
right film now.
Yeah, definitely. Well, before we get to the caster desk for a look at the lineups, Warlip thinks there are 2 sides to ROC at, and you never know which one will show up on game day.
Yo creo que ROC es un equipo muy irregular. A veces juegan tan bien que dices, esos no son ROC. Muchas veces juegan tan pasivo que dejan al otro equipo hacer todo lo que ellos quieran. Entonces yo creo que depende de qué días te cojas, o te revienta o te pueden ganar.
Teams being a little inconsistent. I feel the same way about Giants at times. I'm Trevor Quickshot Henry, standing by with a Mitch Crepo Force Balls to cover all the big plays, the misplays, the replays, as we near picks and bans for our first game of the day. And as the teams are loading up, we need to check out those starting lineups. Over on the blue side, it will be the Spanish Giants with Warlip, Frederick, Pepinero, Adri, Godfred, and Lothar.
Yeah, they didn't look so good yesterday, but at the same time, the other team, ROC on the red side, didn't do too great either. There we have in the top lane Steve, followed by Yankas in the jungle, Nukedog in the mid lane, Rallis is on AD carry, Vander is support, and then ever so dapper Yamato Cannon as the coach.
That is definitely the case. Unfortunately, his dapperness did not help on the Rift yesterday.
Nope.
Nukedog's Varus suffered its first loss out of the 4 games they've played.
He did look good.
He did, despite losing, but it was more of a team-based effort. Fnatic just completely outplayed ROC on the Rift.
Yeah, sometimes I wish we could replay those games up until a crucial moment. I remember one where Tier 1 tower was being traded and that big wave in the top lane was being denied against Steve. I really wanted to see ROC push on, push forward, put some pressure on Fnatic, because Fnatic is such a good team. Yesterday they neutralized the mid game, and ROC, they didn't know how to answer. No. So Giants actually have that style sometimes too, where they say, okay, we're behind, let's let Pepinero farm up in the mid game, come out with some items. Might see that happen again.
Well, Pepinero, the myth, the man, the legend for Giants, can single-handedly win and single-handedly lose games for the team, depending on his picks. Priorities yesterday, Roccat went for the first pick, Rumble, and Giants gave up the Callista. Not going to make that same mistake today, banning 2 ADCs against Rolls.
Yeah, Giants' bot lane was struggling yesterday. They were a little bit behind in a 2v2 and then got dove over and over again. Now they're saying, hey, we want Audrey and Godfrey to be comfortable. He will have to work without his favorable Morgana in the bot lane on the support, bro.
Yeah, no surprises there. The two most banned champions against Giants, Crepo, 14 times in 16 games is Jax, and 9 times in 16 games for Morgana. Brief hover before locking in the last remaining AD carry, the sort of next tier in Corki.
Yeah, Corki just fits so well in a lot of compositions, and you can lane okay with him. You can get to level 6, and then you can choose to keep laning with 2 men in the bot lane, or you can, free up your support in roaming. He fits poke styles, early power spike. The only problem, quote unquote, Corki has at his late game isn't as strong as other carries. He actually doesn't do well into the Caitlyn matchup though that Rawless played yesterday, so that could be a trick in their sleeves.
Of course, Roccat, they did get some early towers. They get some CS on Mr. Rawls' Caitlyn. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough to overcome the power that Fnatic had built up. Reminder, we are on 513. Tom Kench will be enabled next week as he's a new champion, so teams need to get used to him. Zed is the only disabled one for this week. Couple seconds left. All of the junglers really are still up and available.
Yep.
And Cost is currently trending towards that Rek'Sai.
Yeah, and they seem to lock in the Nautilus as well. Nautilus on this patch obviously is a flex pick. You can go both in the top lane Nautilus as well as a support role. However, with the likes of Thresh still open, Alistar still open, I don't see why you would lock it in as a support immediately. So there's a good chance that Steve is looking to play this, and that Vander is waiting for the counter pick support to put some more pressure, because that's one of the lanes you can definitely hit 2v2 in a normal laning situation, is Giants' bot lane.
You also know that on the side of Roccat, Vander's got, in my opinion, a deeper, more effective champion pool with multiple champions. You did actually a segment on his Thresh from last week with some great plays, so we'll see where Roccat decide. A lot of tankiness on both squads with Gragas and Alistar now for Giants.
Yeah, and with this rotation, they have the dive pressure already, so if they want to really hit that early power spike from Corki and speed up the early to mid game, they can start diving towers with Unbreakable Will. In addition to that, they don't give away much information. If one side locks Rek'Sai, it is not unlikely that the other side picks Gragas. If you just fill a generic Alistar support, you are not telling Roccat what do we want to do with our composition. So Roccat is a little bit in the dark right now, and they will have to reveal either their mid laner or whether they're flexing the Nautilus. So this puts them behind a little bit in the champs like pacing. However, Steve playing that Nautilus, it's a bit tanky. So that was one thing that speaks against him, because usually I like him on a split pusher where he can battle together with Jankos, get him ahead. That split push Echo that we saw coming out of him week 5 or 6 it was. Really like to see Roccat regress back to that style.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Steve, when he was playing the carries, looked a lot better. If this Maokai does get locked in, just as a brief aside, we actually saw a tank Nautilus mid earlier today in LPL. Not expecting it from Roccat, but I'm just throwing it out there. We've seen it.
Doesn't quite scream nuked up to me. I do like the switch from Caitlyn to Kog'Maw, because I feel if you're going to run this triple tank peel composition, then you need some more hyper carry behind that. Protecting Kog'Maw is an old League of Legends strategy. It's a little slower. Kog'Maw can get caught out by the hard engage and a dive from Giants' side. But Rawls has been praised for his positioning.
Who will Rawls get to support him? Janna? Thresh? Where do they look for a support?
Well, it is Nautilus already, because the Maokai is locked in top.
Top lane. Thank you.
By process of elimination, we've deduced the...
I got so excited about mid lane Nautilus.
Well,
so,
you may be right. Maybe right.
If Pepe locks in the Varus, then it's Nukeduck that needs to opt into his last champion.
Jace, probably.
For the mid lane. Has not run Jace yet. However, has had it banned against him multiple times.
He could actually go for a Azir and play more of this control, zone control style that you can see. It's another layer of peel and defensive capabilities to aid that Kog'Maw, and it could actually provide to be a nice combination of champions, because then you have the hard engage from the Maokai with Righteous Glory, potential flank with Home Guards. You have really good peel from the Nautilus coming out. Depth Charge can go through the entire team and catch Pepinero later on that Varus. However, that Shyvana is what I like. I think it's good that Whirlwind is regressing back to that split push style, heavy control. We saw what teams can do when Steve gets behind, and when you don't let Roccat play their group style on the other side of the map, just continuously put pressure, force them into bad decisions. Giants could actually do that with the Shyvana split push.
Giants did that against SK. It's the third time they'll play Shyvana. Werlip's got pretty decent KDA. 4 kills, 4 deaths, 10 assists on that champion. And for Roccat, a control mage at the moment with Victor, but it's not the Azir that maybe you're thinking.
So yeah, Victor does well when he has people around him to peel for him. I'm a bigger fan of Victor in a tank top composition than whether you have another damage dealer right there, because he needs people to keep him alive, because he brings so much raw damage to the table. Obviously specs straight into AP. If you engage and you tunnel on a Victor and he gets the ulti and the E off, he can do so much AoE damage. So it kind of fits nicely. The only problem Roccat has is that they're running 2 carries. Both are low mobility and they're easily sniped by whether it be Varus ulti, Pulverized Flash, Dragon's Descent flanking to an extent. But Body Slam Flash and knocking back is definitely something you have to look for. So the Peel squad, being Steve, Jankos, and Vander, they will have to do their job. And if they do, then Roccat can carry.
To see if Giants can be decisive enough in their play style. Yesterday, they just made so many mistakes positionally, and for Giants, they've got to reset their minds.
When you play Shyvana, having Dragon's Descent cancelled is really one of your pain points, and the only champion that can really realistically do that is Steve with his Q, knocking her back, which is hard to time. You could argue that Rek'Sai can unburrow for the easy cancel, but then you obviously have to spend the entire fight in your burrow mode, and then you definitely don't want to do that. So we could see a couple of nice ultimates coming out of Werlip.
So for Werlip, Dragon's Descent, we'll see what pressure he can put onto the side of Roccat. You know, for both of these teams, this is such an important game.
Yep.
7 and 8. 7 wins, 8 losses for Giants. For Roccat, 6 wins, 9 losses. So if Roccat pick up a win, they're going to end up tying that head-to-head.
Some nice math there, Trevor.
I know, I'm trying not to do math on stream. It doesn't normally end well for me. Guys, take a look at the 2 team compositions and let us know on Twitter, who do you think will pick up the win? Hashtag GIA win or hashtag ROC win. Everybody's getting quite excited.
Who's a handsome boy?
You are, Crepo. As we jump into the first game of day 2 in week 8.
All right. Let's see if these teams learn from yesterday. Both had quite a crushing defeat.
Both still vying for those positions in the playoffs. For Roccat, it's a little scarier, because if Roccat drop this game, let's say SK pull off another upset, if SK pick up a couple more wins, we could see them swapping. We could see Roccat falling to the promotion tournament, so scary position.
Obviously no strangers to that tournament, but their goals were playoffs, and they have showed glimmers of brilliancy. But so have Giants. That ward stays alive, thank God. So no more ward cheers. The ward war is going on in the top lane too. Everybody's sharing vision. Talk a bit about this lane. Traditionally, Kog'Maw is actually a good pick into Corki, because it's incredibly hard for Corki as a Vander face checks there a little bit to really out-trade him. The range advantage goes well. You kind of start out-poking later because rank 3 on that W from the Kog'Maw really, outranges the Corki. And then once you hit level 6, it gets harder. And Corki kind of needs a range support to build its lane, both with melees. Makes it such an easy lane for Kog'Maw, and he can scale obviously way better than a Corki can later in the game. So Rawless, we'll have to see if that pans out.
Roccat are going back to a team composition they tried many times in spring.
Vander's going to be late to the Grump, maybe? Yeah, he has to start hurrying up if he wants to get to the Grump in time, because Giants are taking the camp on the bot lane. So we might see an experience discrepancy.
See whether or not Godfred and Ardri can make use of that. Yesterday in the 2v2 versus H2K, it really struggled.
You're a jungler, you're a jungler. Everybody's a jungler when it comes on Giant side. Complete team operation there. Pepinero helped Werlip with a snipe, Frederick stoling his buff, and the Krugs are going to Audrey and Godthread, so really quick jungle start from the Giants lineup. And then obviously Roccat was a little slower, but still make it to lane in time. And this is something that I've seen SKT do a lot. When Marin is playing this Maokai, they get full XP to Steve. He gets level 2, likely has a blue buff too, because Rek'Sai doesn't need that blue buff. And this gives a big lane edge to the Maokai matchup. Now Jankos will be a little bit behind in experience, but he has to catch up. But he knows that Steve is now fine, because Steve can play on his own, spam more spells, get more regen from that passive. So he should get a big lead here, even though Werlip got level 2 of the Raptors himself.
So a small advantage to Rocket. We do see Godfred has got Flash and Ignite. Yesterday, he was the one that fell prey to the Flash headbutt pulverize in the tower. We'll see if Godfred can make it happen. And just very briefly, last time these teams faced was in week 3, a long time ago. Both teams now struggling with inconsistency as the LCS summer split has rolled on.
Yeah, Alistar lanes are very passive in their nature due to the sustain and disengage properties of the Alistar. However, he has a shotgun with 1 shell. If he can land that pulverized flash and knock somebody in the tower, then he can get a kill, you know, participate in first blood. If he doesn't use that, it's just so even. It looks like Rocket's going back to that strategy that we talked about week 5, week 6. Put Steve on some more carry champions and have Jankos buddy up with him. Try and get him advantage in the lane. Even if he doesn't get a gank here, he has this, the counter gank potential is there. You know, if Whirlip oversteps, then we can just zone him out of the lane. This guarantees Steve the first back again. So momentum on the side of Steve.
The exact opposite of yesterday, where Steve was the one that was losing CS and losing the momentum and the support from his team. Frederick is going to get the Scuttle Crab down bottom. I believe he got the one up top as well. So small advantages, whereas Jankos is covering the lane for Steve.
Yeah, notice how he pathed to the right of Scuttle Crab and pushed it back to the left side. If you hit it on the right side, it moves to the left side, because he definitely didn't want to step into that vision too early. Now he steps in. Well, we see some action. So that's exactly what he was avoiding, getting spotted in the river. So first he secured the Scuttle Crab. He went for the gank, but the ward was a little bit too far out for him to definitely close in time. Jankos will now notice that the Scuttle Crab is down. Teams are operating with full information of what's going on the map.
Even start so far. AD's even, mid's even, top's even, and Jankos will spot out Frederick. Shoot out to Prey Seeker just to signal that he's there. Godfred and Vanda will start trading. So there's the pulverize. Third Giant's going to connect. Adlu's going to get a few shots off. Then heal from Godfred will pick him up.
That's the problem with Alistar in its current state right now. Using any of your abilities offensively is just not worth it, because they're so much better defensively. Spaced out cooldowns, peeling for your AD carry, and that's why we see very little action usually on these lanes. As we Jankos and Frederick, they're fighting for this Raptor.
Come on, who's going to get it? Jankos, because he had Smite.
That's cheating.
Frederick didn't want to commit to it. Do you briefly want to say, Whirlip Shyvana had a tiny nerf on 513 on that burnout.
Yeah.
I believe at this rank it's about 3 damage or 4.
Sure. It was a preemptive nerf to devour Shyvana in the jungle, but Devour just simply doesn't work because it's too slow. You don't have enough pressure on the map. Even though these junglers haven't committed to any kills, they've put pressure. They've showed themselves, hey, I'm here, I'm invading the jungle. Godfrey now gets engaged on.
So there's the pulverize. A couple free shots from Mr. Arls. At least keep some form of control, but it's not resulting in CS yet.
Yeah, that bot lane, not too much action going to happen there. So I want to start looking at the mid lane. What we saw yesterday was once Nukeduck hit level 6, he started opening engages. Hey, Jankos, got your buddy. Very even early game. But yeah, Nukeduck, he hit level 6 and he started opening with his ulti on Febiven and honestly forced some bad flashes out of him and some aggression. So will Pepinera do the same in that Varus matchup? Obviously, Nukeduck played Varus so often himself, so both of these players should be masters of the Varus. Could be an interesting matchup later on. A lot of sidestepping required to dodge these, you know, these arrows from Varus, Victor E.
Glad you mentioned that, because as it stands, Pepinero's not died on Varus, played it twice. Pretty good stats, 13-0-14 on that champion.
It's 27 KDA.
Good maths, Crimpo. Nukeduck will be looking to change those statistics. Yesterday we saw Pick, if memory serves, take a long time to get any real itemization. I want to see how Nukeduck changes it on the patch.
All right, Giants right now are attempting to get some vision on the map. When it's such a slow game, it's sometimes really good to insert some pink wards randomly in enemies' jungle, because they don't really expect that ward to be there. And you want to be as pathing as efficient as you can, so taking that detour to check every little bush very often becomes a burden. So you skip that, but if you see Rek'Sai path away from the wolves, as we see some action on the bottom lane here, then again you have information. If you know where he is, you know where he's not is, then you can deduce whether you can make plays on this side of the map, that side of the map, so it's getting revealed a little bit just right here. That's just what I'm talking about. That ward, Jankos could check that brush, but if you have to do that every time you pass the brush, you're wasting so much time.
Smart play then from
pink ward here,
Giants.
but he should find out this is the super standard pink ward.
Yep. He's gonna walk over it. Jankos not gonna be able to get red this time round.
That was close.
Neither had smite actually.
He almost stole it with the Prey Seeker. Takes the pink ward as a consolation prize.
So we have to feel that jungler intervention is going to be necessary for a first blood. Relatively safe-ish lanes across the board. Maybe unless Pepinero makes a big mistake. We did see he's used Ghost, actually. Didn't see where or why.
Probably wanted to dodge Nukeduck, not get closed in there. And yeah, these teams, they're slowly getting comfortable with the state of the game and inserting some deep wards in each other's respective deep red jungles or blue jungles. We saw Steve move in. Obviously, warding close to your lane is nice, but the farther you can get you ward, the better, because the earlier you spot your jungle, you can pinpoint his intentions, see what he's doing. Now, Nukeduck picked up the blue buff. That tells Giants, okay, Nukeduck didn't soul that blue buff. That means on the right side right now was Jankos. He's going to move likely to the left side because bot lane is not very gankable. So even though you don't see the jungler, you can always deduce where he is if you use that information to your advantage.
A little bit of information in terms of gold, both Adri and Mr. Riles in those Triforce 80 carries. 2,300 to 2,400 gold. They've yet to back that sort of super safe farming lane. It's continued to play out. No real jungler intervention. As Frederick showed his face for a brief moment.
Perhaps he has a nice vase too. We know that.
Just to signal that he was there. But yeah, pretty slow and steady. As you mentioned, playoff spots are on the line. And as we came into this game, it's Giants that own the head-to-head. As you said, it was a long time ago where Giants looked a lot stronger in that victory. 10 minutes, only 100 gold separates these teams.
Yeah, both teams are fine with their scaling components, and they're honestly a little afraid to make mistakes. Jankos comes in. Will doesn't know whether he's spotted and getting engaged on, or whether that's just a random teleport into the map. That's always a fearsome scream. You never know where, so you're always happy if you can know where Jankos is going with that ultimate, because you hear that, you'll automatically assume there's a tunnel behind me, somebody's ganking me. But then obviously a good sight to see him in the river. This game will likely evolve eventually to a dragon fight. I almost have to imagine Steve has teleport, Whirlip has teleport. Gotta watch for flank wards on both these champions. Definitely very good to get behind the enemy team.
On the top lane, Whirlip has picked himself up that Cutlass. Steve has got Catalyst.
And Whirlip probably putting more points in the burnout here. As he levels up, his dueling potential goes up against Steve. Steve no longer, or doesn't have the magic resistance yet to deal with that AoE. Doesn't have the wave clear first, so the pressure's on the side of Whirlip. The mid lane pressure seems even. Both mid laners stand at max range and just use their abilities to clear. Very spaced bot lane too. Nukeduck looking to harass a little bit, but Pepinero is no stranger to aggression.
Pepinero, of course, the man that we're going to be looking at. Didn't really show up yesterday. He's the man that's going to get ganked. Jankos gets the knockup. Depth charge is going to follow through, and the dredge line secures a kill.
Vander with the dredge dunk to finish that kill off, and that's what you have to do once people get so stagnant and kind of bored of what's going on. You have to open up your support, start roaming, because 2v2 is not working. Jungler can't find an opening. Just send the level 7 Vander in. We'll see Death Charge is undodgeable, even carries on with the flash. So good opening right there from Rocket. Find themselves a first blood, but there's no objective tied to that kill. So while it looks nice, the game stays relatively even. However, Rocket can push in their vision control a little more. Look at the pink wards in the middle. Both pixel brushes, as we call them, are pink warded by Rocket. So now they can add another layer offensively with green wards if they so choose. Giants' pink wards are slightly more defensive. The entries of the jungle. Frederick is hoping that he's unspotted, so he doesn't want to body slam too far forward. They could see this if they pan over their camera. If they don't, however, they have no idea this is going on. This is actually pretty tricky, so if you have that ward right there, you should probably place it a little more to the left so you can spot into the Dragon Pit. But they could technically spot this, but no pings are coming out. So,
just too late.
Surprise!
Away the dragon. So, Crepo, Rocket secure first blood. This is actually against the norms for them, as they have actually secured the least amount of first bloods of any team in the European LCS. So for Giants picking up the dragon, that is their 9th first dragon, solidly in the upper echelons.
No, Nukeduck is not running cleanse on Victor. We see a lot of people do that. So Chain of Corruption from Pepinero could chain beautifully into a gank from Frederick. And that's something they should look for. Get these pink wards on the side, in the mid lane, sneak in their jungle, body slam over the wall. Wait for the cooldown, look for the Chain of Corruption, body slam flash, knockback. Try and get that Victor down. So right now...
Again, Pepe's Ghost is off cooldown. I think he used it to get back to lane. Pretty sure that's the second time he's done that. Well, confirm in a moment or two. Different usage of the Summoner spell.
First time I ran flash and tried to flash into lane, only to realize it didn't go quite as far. Hey, it said, where your cursor is. I moved my cursor all the way to the lane. I was like, here I am.
Well, I can't fault the logic.
Then I got reported.
a long time ago, but you're not in trouble. Frederick's going to spot out the invading members of Jankos and Vander, and going to leave that Bramble back alone.
So Frederick is slowly losing control of his jungle. This is not the first time Jankos has intervened. Found out what he was doing. Look at the level advantage as well. Jankos participated in that kill in the mid lane. Frederick had to back off a couple of times. Audrey, while he's even on CS, being even against a Kog'Maw technically means you're behind. Both of these are working towards a Triforce, and a Kog'Maw on level 6 with Triforce does a whole lot of damage.
So Vander, you can dodge a hook, but you can't dodge a mine.
Or a
Gonna
range.
land the anchor, connects with the dredge line as well. Jungler and support, v jungler and support. We're gonna keep seeing, there's the Unbreakable Will thrown out.
It's a beefy bull.
I'm just gonna back away. I believe Frederick got his hands on that red buff, so
Yep.
engage from Rocket, nothing comes of it.
Very, very minor fights we see. Very controlled on both sides. Just fighting over these small things like red buffs. Obviously, Dragon is down already. A very hesitant play. 20.1 against 19.9. Very even early game.
Feel scaling is somewhat on the side of Rocket. Knowing that Maokai's going to get tanky, Nautilus is going to get tanky, Kog'Maw is going to be able to shred, but you need to avoid the map threat that Shyvana can put into play. I've heard from Production Crepo, sorry, that the guys on screen are here for a bachelor party. Absolutely epic if you come to the LCS for that. High five.
Stag Knight in Berlin. You need a final member. There are people in the cast crew to sacrifice themselves for this noble good. However, we are still playing League of Legends right here. But yeah, you were right. You were talking about scaling. In terms of team fights, definitely Rocket scale way better. The one advantage Giants have, if this guy right here, Whirlip, can get out. Vander connects though.
Edge line is going to hold him in place for a moment.
That mobility is what's key for Giants. That split push set. Getting members to commit to deal with Whirlip. That's what they want to do to open up the map. Giants take down a tower in the bottom lane right now because they have the mid-game spike. They want to group up Pepinero and Audrey together. They want to poke. Get Chain of Corruption on Nukeduck.
Pepinero's burned through his mana pool. Gets the hail of arrows down, but not enough for the kill. Will it be enough for the tower?
He's diveable right now.
Gonna go forward. The explosive cask knocks Nukeduck to the side. It's not over yet. Dredgeline connects onto Frederick. Challenging Smite is out. A defensive flash, and the Chaos Storm dunks Frederick where he stands. Flash away, and the heal from Nukeduck will keep him alive, but that's Rocket with their second kill.
Last week, it was Vander's Thresh. This week, it's Vander's Nautilus. Hasn't missed a single hook so far. Opening up these opportunities. And honestly, that little play where Frederick body slammed in was actually a mind game. He body slammed in an angle and was telling Nukeduck, hey, if I'm a good jungler, I will body slam flash you right now, so you should flash preemptively. However, Nukeduck didn't call the bluff. Stood there. Eventually, the cast went wide. Could have been a nice play. We could have seen Nukeduck flashing there defensively.
Hey.
Oh, they lose the blue buff.
So, despite the attempted steal, Audrey gets his hands on it. That's the second buff in a row that Rocket have challenged. First was red, second was blue, and both times Giants have been able to secure it.
But look at what Giants is doing with Whirlip right now. He's invading as well. He's counter jungling because they need some pressure for him. Later, the Ruined King finished. Whirlip can like 1v1 pretty much anyone on the team right now.
Big items have been completed in the last few minutes. We already saw the Blade of the Ruined King in action for Whirlip, 2 Triforces for the AD carries, and a Luden's Echo for Nukeduck as his first item.
Yeah, you want to send that E through the lane and then let it proc the Luden's proc just to instantly clear those waves from maximum range. Nukeduck just wants to stay safe. No longer has his flash at his disposal. He uses it offensively to secure that kill earlier. But Vander, honestly, he's been doing fantastic on his roaming. Gets knocked back, though.
Cast a curse. Vander's going to get taken out by Audrey. Mr. Riles is going to take a beating from that blue buff Corki. He's zoned away. While that's going on, Whirlip's down on the bottom inner turret.
Yeah, cracks are showing for Rocket right here. Bottom lane pressure. Nukeduck's sent to deal with that, so mid lane's exposed. Mr. Riles can't deal with that. Mr. Riles out of mana here. Whirlip, obviously, very mobile. Uses the Borg proc to slow somebody down, I believe. Yep, he used it, and then he flashes out for maximum mobility. Now, mid lane's exposed. Double poke showing a Pepinero and Audrey. Rawls at the base for mana, so another tower looking to go down for Giants.
Smart
Good
play.
spike.
Gonna highlight exactly that. Trinity Force Blade and some AD for Pepinero. Giants start grouping, and they've secured themselves 3 towers already.
And Giants did what Rocket couldn't do yesterday, which is take down a tier 2 tower on the bottom lane. Today, if you look back at what Rocket did against Fnatic, and the reason you need that is then you can push in bottom lane all the way and put side pressure on that mid lane turret. This is the way H2K likes to open up the map as well and force the defensive wave clip from Rocket away. Giants also force Rocket out, so they pick up an easy Dragon right here. They're going to look to defend their middle lane tower.
So second Dragon of the game, but will it cost towers? Rocket have pushed in the wave up top and will lose the middle tower. They had the support from Steve if it was needed.
Yeah, I don't really agree with sacrificing your mid lane turret. So essential to keeping the map alive in your favor. Dragons you can always pick up later. They don't really do that much. Earliest timing here. So Audrey stops Steve's back. It's still going to be like 18 minutes from now for another Dragon, for 5 Dragons. So that's kind of late for Aztec.
Peppy had actually ghosted to try catch up to Steve as well.
Yeah.
Decided against it at the end of the day. So Pepinero using Ghost to really move around the map more than anything else. As we're getting closer to 20 minutes, Giants have got 1 tower more, 2 Dragons more, and currently marginally in the gold lead.
And Steve got his Frozen Heart already, so he wants to armor up against that offensive poke from Pepinero. Later on, deals with some mixed damage from Whirlip. However, I feel the brunt of the damage should be Magic from that Blade of the Ring King Shyvana, so still won't be able to duel Whirlip all that well, 1v1.
To go all the way back to your picks and bans discussion regarding the Dragon's Descent, every time we've seen Whirlip, he's using Shyvana as a full split push power.
Yeah, he should.
The moment people come to apply pressure, he backs away and look instantly the rest of Giants pushing into Rocket's jungle.
Yeah, and I like the flash on him as well. Smite Shyvana is nice because you can counter jungle and all and everything, and it sounds okay, but I would really like having the flash for an additional escape, also for repositioning in fights. You can angle yourself instant Dragon's Descent, so you make it impossible for people to cancel you. Just a lot of options, but we need more pressure from Whirlip because he's step number 1. Put pressure, draw members away from Rocket, and then Giants can swoop in, take some more towers.
Minion wave slowly pushing towards Rocket in the bottom half of the map, but there's no inner turret to take. So I'd like to see maybe swapping around a little, trying to take that top outer turret. Whirlip as it stands 2 levels above Steve and 20 CS.
And this is where a lot of teams kind of struggle in this mid game when all these tier 1 towers are down. Look at the damage though. Whirlip definitely having the better end of this trade right here, but this mid game where the tier 1 towers are falling, most European LCS teams don't really know what to do. And that is exactly the thing that Fnatic as a team like to abuse. Say, okay, fine, you have a lead, that's fine, we made a mistake. But our mid game is so good, so tempered, and we know how to pick our fights and our objectives that it doesn't matter what you do up until this point. You see that in the gold as well, completely even again. But Rocket, they're scaling for these late game team fights.
As long as Nukeduck can wave clear, stall this out a little more, get more power, Rocket have a chance to come back. As it stands, Whirlip and Godfred, they're going to double team. That's a headbutt pulverized onto Steve. Tower still being dropped. Here comes Jankos to join the fight with that Void Rush. Now Godfred's on the wrong side of the tower. Unbreakable will it be enough to be broken? Depth charge gonna pop. This is a very drawn out fight. Unbreakable's about to time out. Chain of Corruption has connected from Pepinero. He's gonna throw out the piercing arrow and Vander stays alive. We did see Audrey pushing out that middle lane, so teleport used from Steve, top tower defended.
And that's what Giants want to do. They want to draw aggro somewhere and leave another part of the map exposed. Luckily for Rocket, Steve held on to his teleport, teleports mid, so not much changes. Godfred sacrifices himself as he bases, or gets forced to base. He has to pick up the talisman. A lot of mobility on Giants. They want to Zerg in, pretty much. They want to poke, 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 and then pull the trigger. Let's watch that again. But we see how tanky Steve is getting right now. It's not enough for Will. It takes a long time to duel. Jankos, this tunnel probably should have been cleared before they went for that play, giving easy access point for Jankos. And leaving Godfred behind. Good focus, even though he's an unbreakable will. Vander's not going for Godfred. He knows he's CC'd anyway, so he goes for the zoning death charge. Then another fantastic hook, honestly. And then this Calculato.
Calculato, indeed. Vander showing up second week in a row. Pepinero didn't actually mention it earlier, but with that first blood being given up, that was his first death on Varus in 3 games. Yet to pick up a kill, but he's got a lot of damage to play with. With the Whisper and Brutalizer, with the exception of Steve and maybe a little bit of Jankos.
And Pepe's still scaling very well here with the armor penetration. It is first the percent armor pen and then the flat amount afterwards. Used to be the other way around, so poke will still hurt. Audrey will kind of fall off because after a Triforce, your consecutive items really don't synergize that well with each other. Whereas Rawls kind of has the same problem, but any item he builds with attack speed scales better with his passive.
So, Whirlip, he's found a target. Dragon's Descent aggressively looking forward for Mr. Rawls. We did see that Blade of the Ruined King, but it will not be enough. Pepinero's in the top lane, taking the tower out. So nobody's died yet. Living Artillery being spammed by Mr. Rolls to try and find the Giants. But Pepinero's decided to back away, has not continued pushing top.
He could though. Pepinero could definitely keep pushing because the wave clear is alive on Giants' side. Dragon's up in 40 seconds. So Giants, they're showing their priorities right here. That fleet isn't necessarily a mistake from Pepinero, but they say we value our third dragon more than the opportunity to take the tier 2 tower because they are playing for aspect because they know eventually they'll get outscaled. So let's see if that translates in their next map moves. You see Rocket, they used resources on that push, so they also have to base. So now it's a race for vision around the dragon area.
Giants for the time being playing the map relatively well. However, it's not equated into a very large lead. 25 minutes up. There's the dragon. Yankos will be nearby for the fight, but he's welcomed by a fully charged piercing arrow, and that's hurting.
Both teams a little bit late for Dragon Party. Both forgot about Drake to an extent. So now they're trying to fight over mid lane control. That's always step one, what you want to have. Once mid lane pushes in, you get free vision deep, and you see how many champions are there. Then you can go to the side and get for vision. But Frederick...
Oh, that's a lot of damage. Steve has engaged this one a tad early. Teleport's coming up from Werlip, and he does have a fully charged Descent. Chain of Corruption will not spread.
A good poke by Nuktak.
To all of Roccat. Nuktak is putting those death rays out. Werlip.
He cancelled his teleport. And then flanks from right. This is what you want to do with Shyvana. Always flank. Never come from the same side as your team. Pressure them into the Alistar. Try and pincer right now. This is what Giants want to do. Giants want to pincer.
Pepinero's caught! He's gonna go down! Mr. Rolls gets a kill credit. Werlip looks to reply. They've traded 1-for-1 and Audrey's valked in aggressively, but now he's left for dead. Frederick's going in solo on the side. Giants, this is a little messy. Can they save it? The rockets flying from Audrey, but he's run out of mana. We did see Werlip going low. Werlip's in the thick of it, but Audrey is trying to clean up. Everybody's dying, and in the end, Godfred's the last man standing for Giants. A 4-for-3 as the Cows trying to get away.
Both teams with the right idea how to take that fight. Rocket, they know they have to pincer. Right side Shyvana, left side the Alistar. And how do you beat a pincer? You engage on the weak side. You don't let yourself get clawed in. That's what you want to do. Good opening by Rocket, because they knew if they waited 5 more seconds here, Vander catches Pepinero, flash W from Steve. Honestly, this is a mistake by Pepinero. It should never happen, because look at what's happening on the right side. What will it be? He just one-shots Mr. Wallace. Praised so often for his positioning. And keep your eyes on Audrey in this fight. He's very hesitant. Could land a lot more auto attacks if he does come in, because his team is tanking damage for him, but he's just not doing too much now. Steve flashes over. They go down, even trade all around, but this could have been a very, very brutal fight for Giants should Pepinero survive that earlier stage of the fight, because that pincer is definitely what you want to do. You're not in late game just yet. Steve can still drop immediately.
So Rocket may get their hands on this first dragon unless it can be stolen. El Bandito's nearby. Body slams available. El Bandito does not decide to pull the trigger.
Yeah, no synergy what we saw yesterday. We saw those snipe combos come out. You know, jungler dashes over the wall in unison with a Varus Q. Then Smite tagged up together and left it impossible for Rainover yesterday to counter smite that one. Wasn't quite the case just now because Frederick had no escape mechanism. He couldn't get back over the wall. So El Bandito wasn't ready to give up his life for the steal.
Disappointing. Expected more.
I expected more.
I've seen the wanted posters. Led me to believe he could do it.
Very interesting itemization here too. Steve is speccing into more mobility. Well, I'd call it good itemization honestly, because you just want to be able to close the gap, especially on Pepinero. You know, get that Righteous Glory out. When he's poking at the side and he feels safe at a certain distance, close that gap. Immediately pop that Righteous Glory for your team. Steve will also be looking for flanks.
Well, Steve, despite being down in CS, those home guard boots, the teleport available.
Yeah.
Going to be able to find the targets.
Just like the Praise Seeker finds Pepinero.
Yep, grappling hook interrupted. Audrey also finished his Blade of the Ruined King. Picked himself up another longsword, but look at the positioning. It's Rocket trying to get control of mid lane.
Let's see what Rocket's doing right here. They're putting Nuketook in the middle lane, so he wants to wait to keep that lane even. Mr. Wallace played split push duty until the point where he felt safe, so Rocket just set up a slow push in the top lane. I believe, unless that wave bounces back. Can't quite tell from the minimap here. He's picking up red buff. Scuttle Crab obviously is in Giants' favor, so that war for vision control goes on, and the one thing that will break that eventually is the split push. Giants Whirlwhip against Rocket Steve is something you want to keep your eyes on. Now that Steve has picked up some magic resistance, this duo may start changing a little bit. Blade of the Ruined King's magic damage, Burnout magic damage, Sunfire Cape, all magic damage. So Spectre's cow, triple value on that item.
The one thing it is true though, when we saw Werlip get onto Mr. Riles, he almost insta-gibbed him. If Mr. Riles is out of position against this Werlip, who's nearly level 18, that's a scary threat.
If he goes short, hang on, Vander connects.
The explosive caster is going to split, and they've managed to pick up a kill on Vander, but the damage threats are still alive. Vander's going to be late.
The split push.
Mr. Riles will be late. Frederick forced away. Giants are in retreat. Werlip has got full charge on Dragon's Descent, but Mr. Riles is still looking for that fight. I believe he's got red buff as well. So fight on two fronts.
Yeah, as Wallace gets stronger though, he can kite Werlip, unless Werlip jumps over Wallace, free Willy almost, and then lands down. The Flames, you know, get Wallace one shot, then Wallace can kite. Blade of Ruin King to slow Triforce every auto a little quicker. Zeal picked up now too, attack speed boost. A lot of potential health.
Godfred is looking for a target, but he's just been chunked down. The Death Ray and Siphon Power disintegrated his HP. Werlip did teleport in for this one, so Summoner Spell used. We did see Steve TPing in earlier, so they've evened that out.
Okay, got the reminder from Deficio. Blade of Ruin King is in fact physical damage. I believe it was magic in the past. Could be wrong there. So that double value on the Spectre's Cow. I lied to you guys. I'm terribly sorry for lying. So we see that split push that from Werlip coming out. And it puts pressure. It forces Rocket into moves that they feel this is opening. And for Vander, that was a red light in, but good disengage. And this is why Gragas such a good disengaged jungler, because if somebody goes in, you put the barrel right behind them. And anybody following up on that engage gets knocked back, but the guy actually engaging gets knocked into your team. And Vander, he couldn't press R for extra tankiness. Not unbreakable at all. He broke.
The thing is, despite the fact Giants are trying the split push, and despite the fact they've been relatively successful, it's not equated a big lead. We're still only 1,000 gold up. It feels like Giants have the theory down, but the practice is just a little short of where it needs to be.
They do have the pressure advantage, and if they want to win, they will need additional stats. To acquire those, they will need the Baron, so they'll need to pressure Rocket in, force him to take either a face check, or just take that objective down. Shyvana, once she connects with Baron, with the double AD carry setup, they can do that very, very quickly. However, if you want to do that Baron, you kind of want to have Shyvana at the other side of the map. So without the teleport, it's going to be tricky to secure that objective. And honestly, Rocket have been doing a phenomenal job keeping the vision control at least sufficient.
It's not been caught out yet.
Does it get old? Does it now?
I have to admit, I don't think it does. But yes, full party Rek'Sai and a jet ski to lane. 5v5 potentially in the mid lane. Teams are setting up. And you can see fairly deep wards in the top half of the jungle from Giants into Rocket's jungle. A couple of tunnels around, not a great tunnel network, and a big minion wave pushing for Rocket.
Nobody pushing it in. Nukta can quickly move over there. 1E is enough to clean it. He's obviously wary of the Baron start. This is goodbye Giants. Don't start it because you know Rocket will come and check anyways. Scrying Orb reveals himself. Always awkward. It's like somebody opens the door when you're standing there naked. It's like, no, go away, please.
And Giants did. Vander's now looking for more. He's already hooked onto Werlip. Take a look at Adri's positioning. He's going to come in from the sideline. A defensive Dragon's Descent from Werlip as the cast was also thrown to split Rocket apart.
Choke points are dangerous.
Root catches onto Frederick. Adri's not relying on autos, but spamming out that missile barrage. Valks in aggressively. Not sure that was the right call. Mr. Rolls right-clicks for the kill. The headbutt away from Godfred. Frederick's in retreat, and Peppy is trying to chunk down Mr. Rolls. Flash away from the Cogmore. The Caterpillar lives to fight another day. And finally, Nukeduck gets another kill before Godfred is pulled back. Adri, why?
You don't want to do that against Rocket. They have years of experience from playing with Wuhai to see exactly what happens if your AD carry flashes in aggressively. Big mistake from Giants. Rocket looking to take up the Baron here. Constellation inhibitor perhaps for Werlip, but big mistake. Unless you have a Chrono Breaker, don't do that.
Not gonna work out. Werlip is not continue to push the middle lane. Instead, they want to peel back for the Dragon. Baron secured at 32 minutes for Rocket. This should slow down this split push threat. Yeah,
very, very weird turn of events right here. However, Giants, they keep the Aspect Dream alive. Third Dragon right here. Well on their way for full Khaleesi. Let's watch that again. But Whirlup, he wants to engage, but once he goes low enough, he opts out for the defensive Dragon's Descent. He waits for all the stuff that could cancel him to get used. Look how he waited for depth shards to be used, then he goes out because he's counting his HP. And look at the poke. This is why you never go to a choke point against the poke opposition.
Whoa, sorry to
More
cut you off,
action here.
Peppo. Whirlup's now been caught out. Chaos Storm is burning down. There is a flash, but it won't be enough. Siphon powered for another.
Yeah, Whirlup lingered around after that Dragon to initiate a split push on the right side to buy time. That's what you want to do before Baron buffed enemy teams siege you in. You just want to break out with one wave, get it away from them so they can't push. However, find themselves caught here. They did use Righteous Glory, so that means Audrey stays alive there. But against the Pokemon, Baron buff is so good because their immediate wave clear disappears. With a Pokemon, Baron buff is so good as well. And look at how quickly Rocket can zone out Giants here. Because Whirlup is down, no flank threats at all. No wave clear. And it just melts.
The threat of the Flash W Maokai. Too great to deal with. So Rocket not only get Baron, they get an inhibitor as well.
And look at the bot wave. That's what Whirlup was looking at. He wanted to stop that from happening. He didn't want to get Rocket for phase 2 of a split push or just hard push. But look at that massive wave. All those creeps are going to get buffed by the new Baron buff. If you can add a banner of command in there, then you have the dream.
Maybe one of them will add it soon enough. For the time being, Rocket don't need it.
Oh, Aegis actually. On either side.
Comes up from Maokai.
Quite surprising, honestly, in this meta. Having Jankos go for the Spectre Scout defensively. In my opinion, going for the Aegis to lock it, probably a better choice here for your team. Rek'Sai is tanky enough on his own, on her own rather.
Well, Giants looking to engage. Rocket happy to back away. Throwing out those death rays as they do. Empowered recalls as Giants continue to pressure a lane, but the Super's in their base shortly.
So that's, we'll see. Boo Boo will need a band-aid. See who bases to deal with that minion wave. It will be Pepinero. Looking at the items though, this is why Kog'Maw is just such a good late game carry. He can build Triforce, and even though the next following items don't synergize that well with Triforce, they do with your passive, your W, percent HP damage. Another percent HP damage from Blade of Druid and King. Phantom Dancer, more attack speed, more movement speed, and then he's now building towards the Last Whisper. So Rawless is building up quite well, and only died once so far. So definitely good positioning from him. Unlike Audrey on the other side, that he wanted the highlight, he wanted the hashtag LCS big play, but just didn't quite get there.
Well, Audrey's Gatling Cannon is a whole lot of ammo to work with. But Rocket in the lead as far as gold is concerned for the first time this game, or in a long time rather.
Look at the wards on the bottom side of the map.
Better to be said. And also, if you look at this, this could be the first time that Giants have lost a game when getting 3 dragons. They're starting to fall behind. And with Baron now worn off and Supers down the middle lane, Rocket, they can play the side lanes if they want to.
Yeah, and you're looking at the gold graph, you would honestly expect these to be kind of mirrored. Giants usually get behind and then find that magical opportunity to come back into the game. Rocket usually is ahead and then loses the game. This time it was different. Rocket was behind. They found the opening. Good patient play by them. They said, okay, we're fighting a split push threat. Let's not overcommit to it. Stay in the mid lane, get those wards out. Just hang on.
After a year of watching Rocket, Crepo, I think they're a pretty patient team.
Patience is a virtue.
Good.
Steve
is Steve.
Rocket goes in.
Go in. Rockets are now split a little bit. We do see Whirlup diving in with Dragon's Descent, but the Chaos Storm is destroying Giants. Whirlup will be the next to fall. Another kill credit to Vanda. Rocket, despite looking like they were engaged on, get 2.
That's what we were talking about in Champs League. The raw amount of damage on Victor and Kog'Maw is enough to play with 2 carries. It allows you to build 3 peel champions around that, and you can chase into a Victor, walking into his E, walking into that Chaos Storm. Can be destructive for your team, and Whirlup and Frederick, they found out the hard way. Good engage, they knocked Victor back and flashed out. Wasn't enough.
The scaling team fight power that Rocket can put on the map is fully activated. Steve, with those tiny football legs, running across the field. Home guard teleport will secure another inhibitor. And look at the damage onto Audrey. 1 death ray and Siphon. Another inhibitor secured.
Yeah. If there doesn't get a metaphorical arrow to the knee, Pepinero, then it does look like Rocket are in prime position to close out this game. 2 inhibs down right now. Watch that again. The engage. Pepinero is caught in the middle. Nuke flanks, gets combo knocked back. We'd expect him to die here, but he goes out and now he's going to lay down a Chaos Stroke. AoE damage. Mr. Raul is untouched, by the way. Even if they get nuked up, doesn't matter. Mr. Rawls is one of the primary threats right here. You really want to get to him. Steve, Vander, and Jankos are just tanky enough to survive, to peel. Just throw themselves in front of those skill shots. Block as many body slams as you can. You know, soak up as much damage from Audrey. Honestly, that doesn't scale that well. All his items do kind of different things, honestly. That's the nature of Corki. You want to hit that early game, get that wave clear, free up your support to roam. Get advantage that way. Just didn't quite happen, honestly. Vander was the one roaming way more than Godfred this game. He's honestly getting more comfortable. He's taking a dip, in my opinion, in performance to start his split, even last split. But right now, Vander is getting stronger and stronger again, and he has a very, very high skill ceiling as a support. It's good to see that come out again.
I share that sentiment, Crapo. ROC going to delay any threat of Aspect from Giants by securing their second Dragon of the game. 40 minutes is fast approaching, a 3,000 gold lead for ROC. Super's up top, exposed in head middle. I think the safe play to look to finish would be to get the next Baron. Up in 20 seconds, ROC can either force another team fight, which they've won handily multiple times, or they get an uncontested Baron. So options here for ROC.
Both teams are realizing that that's the threat right now. The Barons, Giants clear the vision. They're hoping for base check, but Praise Seeker and Tremor Sense, it's so hard to react to that because the second you move in that rush, you're spotted. So Giants had the right idea to counter this. They got some wards in, but obviously Rocket know that tempered aggression is the name of the game right now. They're going to clear that vision, push out the lanes, very likely, and then resort back to the Baron. And if Giants commit too much to the left side, to posture around there, then mid lane will be exposed too. Vander, he's fishing.
Not going to catch anything today. Let's have a Randian's Omen if he can get close enough, and the super minions are getting closer and closer to the steps of Giants' base. In terms of your itemization, we're hitting a late game nuke deck here, Crepo. 820 ability power with these brand new 513 items.
Yeah, and he can obviously, the new Raven's Death Cap, more AP scaling, so should you hit that as a third item, he's working towards Void Staff, so that's going to be another big spike for him right now. And yeah, that means he's scaling so well with his abilities.
Yeah, I just quickly took a look at the numbers. New Death Cap is providing plus 203 AP with that 35%. Rocket are playing Death Bush, Crapo.
Yeah,
that might be the death of Giants.
Here we go, Steve's going in, Righteous Glory.
Who is he going to find? The cask is going to get dodged by the W, Pepinero. You're going to need that Chain of Corruption for disengage. Here comes Whirlib, the Half Dragon Lady. Will the power be enough? Piercing arrows are chunking down Rocket, and with Steve low, they've backed out.
Rocket opt in for the engage, go to the closest target, then realize we're not quite getting anywhere here. Don't want to get counter-engaged by Whirlib, because look at your top waves, look at your bot waves. Time is in Rocket's favor. This is the moment of the game where very often teams will go for a panic Baron, start a bad fight and lose it straight up. Giants will have to do one of those. Go for a fight, go for a wave clear. What are they going to do?
Two things I want to mention about Rocket. Number one, they started the fight. Good for trying. Number two, they backed away safely. Good for reading the situation. Not something I've praised Rocket for all split long.
And Mr. Rowles, most importantly, didn't flash in aggressively. Still has that summoner spell available. So those are the tools you're looking for. Nuke Tuck Flash, Rowles Flash. They have them defensively. Peel, depth charge coming back up. Steve, obviously, full throttle. And look at that. One Nexus Tower under siege right now. TP is up on Whirlip, so he's the chosen defender, but that Nexus Tower is going low.
Steve and the rest of Rocket going to push. Nexus Tower's going to drop. Super Minions have already secured a tower. Whirlip still has TP available. The rest of Rocket now peeling back. Vision lacking on both sides around the pit.
But good adaptation from Giants. Double Crying Orb. Scrying Orb. Here we go. We're going in.
So Frederick is going to be the man that gets caught by the depth charge. Godfred is being zoned away by the Death Ray and the Siphon Power. The fight has come back to the middle as it's Mr. Rawls that's dropped Frederick. TP comes in from Whirlib. He's going to be able to secure a kill on the support, and he's going to have to drag his descent away. The giant tree of Steve. He's chasing and running and rooting. Chain of Corruption will hold Mr. Rawls, but it's simply not enough. Rocket win yet another team fight.
Yeah, in this late game, arms race, Nukeduck and Rawless just do too much damage. Frederick is the first one to drop. Pepinero eventually gets chased down. Godfred peeled as well as he could. But there's just not enough damage on Giant's side to tear through these tanks. And even if they want to step through it, they walk straight into the damage from Nukeduck and Rawless. So they need that flank we were talking earlier. The only fights they've won were the flanks. Let's see this again. Death Charge on the jungler. They don't even have to find the squishies. They can tear through the front line. Look at Godfrey. He's going to pulverize Nukeduck, but he's asking himself, where do I knock this guy? I don't know. Like, okay, I'm out. And then eventually Whirlip comes in, but too much CC. Has to hold until he can drag his head out defensively. If he could flank in, imagine if you could land on Nukeduck and Rawless from the side. That's the opening they're looking for, but Rocket, they're not allowing that. Good flank control in terms of vision. They always peel back until they see Whirlip, then they go aggressive. So good control by this Rocket lineup.
Rocket gonna start off this Baron. If Mr. Oz can get some hits, it will get shredded with that Infinity Edge Phantom Dancer. Whirlip once more has access to his ultimate. Baron is already down, secured by Rocket. Godfrey's gone in for the knockup, and Whirlip's trying to chase Rawless down. It's a battle of the beast, as it's Whirlip that gets a kill on Rawls. He turns his attention to Nukeduck. The Catherine Surprise will hurt, but it's Audrey that gets a kill onto Nukeduck. Rocket will win the fight with their uber tanks, and it's all on Pepinero to defend.
2 Baron buffs denied, however. Pepinero wasn't there, but we see the power of Whirlip. If he can connect that ulti, hopefully Giants will learn from that. The gold is still close, 4,000 in the difference. Whirlip has enough damage if these flashes are down. There's no Locket, no Aegis to buff the MR on Nukeduck and Rawless, so they can get assassinated ever so quickly. Triforce picked up instead of the Last Whisper as well on Rawless, so he's not wanting to shred any armor, he just wants the crits.
Pepinero is gonna have to do a monstrous job. If Rocket commit for the Nexus turrets, there's only one standing.
Godfred's block, that's good.
Get the block, the Chain of Corruption comes out. There's the root onto Pepinero. He has Ghost available, has used it. Yankos and Steve trying to zone him out. Challenging Smite. Godfred with another Pulverize. Defensive players. Peppy's going to make it to the bottom inhibitor. Top inhibitors respawned. The Baron-empowered minions will not make it to the turret. Peppy has let Giants live for another day.
Yeah, for how grim this was looking. Baron about to go down to Rocket. They denied two key members. Get the kills. Let's watch this again. Keep your eyes on Whirlip. Eventually, he's going to dash in aggressively, get to Rawless. Look how quickly Rawless is dropping here. Follow-up Cask as well. Fredric's going in. And Audrey again with the aggressive flash. One could argue if this was necessary. Yes, you get Victor, but trading yourself 1-for-1. Dying Victor that was stuck in the back, perhaps not the wisest decision. But all in all, 2 Baron buffs denied, push denied, 1 inhibitor still alive. The easiest one to defend as well. Middle lane is, at this point of the game, very easy to defend. But look for the flanks. No teleport on Whirlip.
So I don't necessarily like the lack of Last Whisper from Mr. Rawls. He's picked himself up a Negatron Cloak, but with Void Staff now completed for Nukeduck, he's up to 880 ability power. Rocket onto the Dragon. This could be number 3. Dredge line, rather, Root comes out from Steve. There's the Dredge line onto Godfred Frederick.
Look at the flank, Whirlip's at the top.
Well, can Whirlip find Rawls? He's on him now. Dragons descend forwards, but look at the shield. Mr. Rawls stays alive. He manages to take out Whirlip. You don't need Last Whisper when you're only 1-on-4. Giants in retreat. They've lost their 2 frontline champions. Rocket have the tools.
Vander did a phenomenal job peeling right there. He turned around, saw Whirlip come in time, and the flank just didn't quite connect.
Well, Vander's once again going to find a target. Audrey is dropped with 3 Giants down. Rockets have the numbers advantage, the minion advantage. They're going to go for the Nexus.
And Rocket looking to tie Giants here. I believe in the standings. Late season surge by Rocket.
Rocket tying in the standings, tying in the head-to-head, and Rocket keep their playoff hopes alive. Standing tall with that performance from Mr. Riles Cogmore. Nukeduck showing up on Victor.
This time, patience played in their favor. It used to be the death of them. Always waiting, Rocket. But this time they had the scaling advantage. They had the teamfight advantage. They learned from their mistakes. They let themselves get flanked once, didn't happen again. And eventually they played a fight and forced Giants into a mistake. Audrey, let's call it what it is. Aggressive mistake flash. 3 members dropped in that exchange. Baron dropped in that exchange. And suddenly the game went from what was a completely even matchup, heavily favored into the side of Rocket.
Just really like what Giants were doing early. Unfortunately, late game decisions didn't work out. There's the dapper Yamato going to be happy with that win, and also happy that now Yamato...
He's their biggest fan.
Tied for 4th with Giants. The head-to-head is even at 1-1, which means they could be playing for that all-important tiebreaker.
Yep.
At the end of the split, at the end of next week.
And it is week 9 right now, or week 8 in European LCS. Week 9 is next week, obviously, and you can feel the tension in the games. Both these teams very hesitant. The biggest fight we saw was who's going to get this blue buff, who's going to get this red buff. And eventually, once they felt comfortable, they started overextending a little more. Step 1, some deep wards in the jungle. Step 2, sieging up these towers. Both were okay with their mid game. Giants more so than Rocket, but Rocket, they held on. Honestly, and if you would have gone back to week 2 and 3 and you said Rocket were playing a Victor Kog'Maw double carry composition, we said, well, they're roast, you know, obviously. But yeah, H2K against Copenhagen Wolves. And looking back at yesterday, difference almost couldn't be bigger. Yes, the Wolves did better than they usually did with their new players, Lenny and Cass, but it still wasn't enough. And H2K, they turned on the fire. They really did. Back to form for H2K, who will be on the blue side, and they're fighting for sole control of second place, if they can. Odoam there, Lulex, Ryu, Hyun, and Kasing and Prali. And as you mentioned, Crepo, just a great performance to break that little bit of a dip from H2K. Yeah, and obviously they're facing on the other side the Copenhagen Wolves. They definitely need that win today, because otherwise they'll face automatic relegation, and this is the lineup for them. Lenny in the top lane, Shook in the jungle, Soren mid, Freeze on the 80 carry, Jusui Cass, support. Dentist back in the coaching position. Obviously, 3 of their members speak Dutch. 2 of them are Belgian. You'd expect a lot from the Copenhagen Wolves, but sadly, it wasn't quite enough. Wasn't going to say it, but on the other side, Odoamne looked fantastic. We've mentioned this sort of day and night between the two teams, and yesterday Odoamne pulled out the Shen. The whole team looked dominant, but just the taunt flashes were exceptional. Yeah, and they set up beautiful chain CC, so everybody was ready for it. This was a normal taunt. Odoamne is showing that he practiced this champion for sure. And always really ready to follow up. That Ahri assassination potential was such a good pick. Yeah, definitely worked out. I'm hoping we get the taunt flash under the Nexus turret. You see he'll actually zigzag it. But we also saw the Rylai's Crystal Scepter Ahri build coming up from Ryu, which showed up. The one thing I do want to mention from the team, though, they're fighting for sole control of second because Origin dropped the game yesterday. Which means they could take that next week. But in the interview, both Kasing and Prali were just talking about the loss to Fnatic and how it really tilted them. To me, it screams a little bit more of a psychological problem that a team they may need to deal with better. To be fair, everything Kasing and Prali say in interviews, you may want to take with an ever so tiny pinch of salt, because they do like to joke around a little bit. But yeah, obviously every time you face Fnatic, you feel you're ready and you're like, this time we're going to make the change. This time it's going to be our time, but sometimes it's just not enough. Unfortunately not. Now, H2K fighting for second, Copenhagen Wolves are fighting for their lives. They need help from everybody else, and despite this game yesterday being the best performance they've had with the revised roster against Elements, it still simply wasn't enough. And if Copenhagen Wolves lose 1 of their next 3 games, this one included, they are automatically relegated for finishing in that 10th position. Now, they do play with less stress in that regard. Yes, you have the the burden of winning 3 games in a row, but if you in your mind you're already defeated, you can play with a lot less care, and that's actually what Candy Panna said on Twitter as well. You know, if you have just that stress fall off of you, just play a lot more freedom, and then you play a lot better. So potentially the Wolves could come out swinging. But so far, it looks like they're learning the game step by step by step, and they took, yeah, a first or second step in towards progression. But if you look at how good H2K is holistically as a team, they are miles ahead. And of course, yesterday for Copenhagen Wolves, they picked quite a high skill cap and high coordination team style. We'll see what they decide to do today. Jump back into the game very rapidly. Draven, Nidalee banned away, targeted towards Copenhagen Wolves. Freeze, of course. The 13th Draven ban. I love tracking these signature champion bans. At least they left the mark on the LCS. Rise and Siva banned from Copenhagen Wolves. So Rumble is still up. It was first picked yesterday. Kalista is out, so double tier 1 80 carries out for the Wolves. One could argue that they're shooting themselves in the foot a little bit with that. Maybe a Caitlyn we'll see from FaZe. Usually teams are thinking about Corki at least. They're also thinking about Alistar in these positions. Want to pick up something strong. We'll see. I'm a fan myself of Alistar's support. It's just very simple to play, but you can do so much with it. Just a couple abilities in the right time, more position reliant, roaming, and that's something definitely Kasing is good at, especially when he groups up with his jungler Lulex, in unison, get that map vision control. And that has been the way to shut the Wolves down as a team. Just wait until the mid game, start warding up, and eventually your play patterns will be more evolved. And it's very, very rough, amateur-esque team, Copenhagen Wolves. Well, had to replace their top laner and their support around 3 weeks ago. Difficult situation to be in.
with the Lee Sin removed from Shook.
Yep, and then Italy.
Rek'Sai, yeah, and Gragas were still up. So Shook, he has played all of the above. He's also played Rengar, left a bit to be desired. Let's see what he decides to lock in.
And H2K echo that sentiment that we made earlier, where it's all about map control vision, and now you have Tremor Sense to help you localize where those wolves are on the map. You have the map with wide mobility with that pool party Rek'Sai that you can use, get everywhere. But this, yeah, the Blitzcrank cover, this is indicative of what the wolves might do. They might just bring out the cheese, whip out the Gouda, get the Parmesan, scrape that on top of it, because conventionally you have been outclassed. But let's see when that cheese comes in, or if it does at all.
I have seen Blitzcrank work very effectively when planned. Won't be locked in this time. So let's talk about what is locked in. Lenny is going to try his hand at Rumble. It'll be the first time we're seeing him something that's not utility or tank focused.
Good pick and ban so far. Rumble, staple pick here in this patch, even better than it was before. Steal it away from Oduamna. Obviously, he might have the counter ready. Huni had the Riven counter ready yesterday. Thresh stolen away, or borrowed from Kasing. Obviously, he still has that Alistar at his disposal, but offensive tools already from the Wolves. You know, Alistar is more of a defensive support unless you can aggressively get vision and roam and dive. Wolves don't have that coordination, so maybe a couple of hooks here and there could be the opening for them. Just tunnel in on that laning phase.
We need to see an individual performance step up. H2K looking to take second. Copenhagen's looking to avoid 10th.
Yep.
With Kalista out, with Siva out. Banned from the Wolves, you have to assume they knew Corki was going to get taken by Hyanin.
Yeah.
So what does Freeze want to run? I mean, he's one of the most notorious, better-known AD carries in Europe. But the priority picks are not there.
When you're in a struggling team, you start thinking more isolated in terms of laning power, and then you're thinking, okay, what can I do? I can take down this bottom lane tower on my own. I can outrange my opponent. Everything's off the table. I will go for Caitlyn. But the problem is, if you step out of that small reference frame and you look at the big picture, at the map, then H2K says, fine, you know, take my tower. I will just continue to wave clear Koki. I will let Kasing roam wherever you want. And then the Wolves are stuck with the next step. We're not talking about hovers here.
No.
It's too much effort in that. H2K, the problem with this second rotation as well is it is fully expected, and they're not giving away any information, what they're doing with their composition. At least locked in here, so good, big potential on this bottom lane, honestly. Lantern into Cocoon. Or Lantern into bringing in at least an offensive repel. Cocoon, many gap closers. Can pressure that tower too. At least can group up with Thresh and Caitlyn to just siege that turret on the bot lane. So there is play potential for the Wolves, but will they execute it?
Well, they definitely can't afford to fall behind because there's not much of a front line. We'll see whether or not Shook decides to itemize into tank Elise or AP Elise. We've seen both kick as his swan song in his last game. Picked up a victory for the first jungle Elise of the split. For H2K, they've got to decide. Oduamne, what does he run into? Rumble? Will it be the Shen once more? And will Ryu fall back to the Ahri?
And H2K as a team will have to decide, are we running conventional stuff, double poke, double tanky frontline with a damaged top laner? Or are we going the control mage style with the Ryu on Victor? Are we going for assassination on Ahri? They have endless potential to practice these compositions on the LCS stage, so they might opt for something slightly out of the ordinary, but so far, they do value their win. They want to play secure. Beyond that, Victor that has seen a resurgence over in Europe, obviously played a lot over in the LCK. I initially wasn't a fan against it if there's a lot of offensive dive to get to you, so you need peel. So I do like it when you play Victor with a Shen in the top lane, for example, or a Maokai as we saw last game. Alistar, Rek'Sai, Shen, that's triple peel. Then you can afford to spec heavy into damage in the mid lane, especially since your AD carry is kind of weak on damage too.
And last lock in there, Crepo. Soren picked the champion that, honestly, he got dumpstered by. Fox ran Irelia into his Victor.
Do upon them as they do unto you is his motto for the day. But Copenhagen Wolves team comp kind of screams, I wouldn't say solo queue, but just comfort picks.
Yeah.
It's okay, I want this for my lane, I want this for my lane. We're going to try and get ahead and snowball because as a team comp, you know, it's not really going to work. And H2K, they might take a bit on the back foot, you know, slow down into the mid game. Nice and easy. Get in there and then get the vision control. Things you want to look for is dives with Rek'Sai Alistar, with Shen on the top. Unbreakable tanking tower with the Shen delivery system with the headbutt is something really strong you could do. Keeping Ryu alive on Victor is the main focus of this game, and they have all the tools to do so. However, it's still up to Ryu to get the positioning and but he's shown in the past that he
Yes.
can very well do that.
If you'd said a different player name, I would have been more concerned.
Yeah.
But when you say Ryu's positioning...
And he will always stay calm.
Really?
On his face, at least.
Never noticed. Hashtag H2K win. Can they get another win to distance themselves from Origin?
Or will it be hashtag CW win? If you believe in a magical upset from the Copenhagen Wolves, it is all possible because every game still has to be played on the Rift.
Soren on that mid lane Irelia. And it is the matchup that we have seen him win in the past. Take a quick look at your summon spells. It is Flash Ignite versus Ryu's Flash Cleanse to get rid of that Equilibrium Strike stun or Cocoon or Death Sentence, any form of those multiple CCs that could come in.
The Wolves came to play double Ignite, one in the mid, one in the bot lane. They want action. They want to get ahead early.
I feel they have to do that as well. The only thing I would hazard as a minute caution for H2K is a lot of magic damage. But
They have a play here in mind. They know that it's likely that H2K might prompt a lane swap here, so when they do, H2K obviously will want to get deep wards. When they do that, the Wolves will be waiting. We might see, this could actually be a beautiful opening to this game, Trevor.
if the Wolves move,
Hang on, that's one.
Oda taunts his way out and stays alive! The taunt heal!
Oh, the damage taunt does damage reduction, if I remember correctly. This time, they actually used the Ignite. Yesterday, I believe the Wolves had a face check where they didn't use the Ignite. Cos led it to be sore. Oh, Wolves. This is what Tilt is made of. Yesterday, they face check, you don't get them. This day, face check again, but it's a tank. Odoamne with the door and shield. Honestly, that saved his ninja behind. Game starts even. He doesn't even sacrifice a flash. Kasink Pulverite flashed offensively, I believe, to save him. Kasink's flash was used at least. So, what could have been a beautiful early game full of chaos ended up with a, seems to be a lane swap. Alright, this matchup. We talked about it before, the last time it came out. It is all about dashing aggressively on the Irelia. However, Soren probably skilled E for that level 1 face sec. That's something they didn't do actually. They didn't stun Odoamne, I believe. They damaged him before, and then obviously Equilibrium Strike will not stun because there's no equilibrium. You have more damage than he has health, therefore you will not stun him. But Soren wants to wait for level 2, then he wants to start zoning Ryu with dashing to these creeps and threatening him with the stun. However, Ryu right now is comfortable to poke. Here we go.
So there's the dash in with Blade Surge early level 2, and look at the trade. Soren will be happy until the Siphon Power.
Yeah, and you want to leave a minion as your exit path every time, so you dash in, execute the minion, Q resets, stun, auto, dash out again. Disappear before counter damage can happen. But Ryu, obviously, master of the mid lane.
It was Fox last time that showed Soren the ways. A aggressive wave clear Valkyrie from Hjarnan, as we are in that lane swap scenario. So we did see Lenny was holding hands with Shook in the jungle. He'll be moving up to the top half, and Odoamne has now come to the bottom tower.
The Copenhagen Wolves stole Rumble away from Odoamne, so Hjarnan would distribute to the Equalizer, the miniature version of the Valkyrie, saying, hey, we can do that too.
I believe you called it a cosplay.
Cosplay, yeah.
Equalizer one day.
Cosplay. Call it what you want. Clear the minions. Standard 3v0. Start here now in the lanes. This is an evolution from the 4v0. People figure out, hey, we're doing this slightly suboptimally. We don't really need that tower that quickly because teams that take it 20 seconds later, you know, they're okay doing that. So we rather let a jungle continue to jungle. Lulex is finding his jungle empty though. Getting a little bit behind to Shook. Shook's already level 3. Lulex is still level 2. And this is something we've seen before when he falls behind and goes for that signature dive. If that thing gets denied, then the H2K kind of falls behind.
So for Lulex, small disadvantage. Where does he find his farm? Towers have been evened, one apiece. H2K now looking to reset their lanes.
Yeah, and they're bouncing the waves for the top laners. I actually talked to a fan here yesterday. He said, I started watching League of Legends this year. Why are they letting those creeps die? So let's explain it one more time. If you let the creeps die to the tower, it will mean that the wave that's coming in will push back. And obviously you will receive all that farm and CS and gold on your side, and you will deny the enemy more creeps. So that's what you want to do. You bounce the wave backwards towards your top laner to get Lenny fed. And then on the bot lane, they bounce the wave backwards towards Odoamne. So you don't want to get it too far back, because you want to leave some pressure even that out.
Well, we did see a brief glimpse of that middle lane. Shook is making his way in. Shook, one of the shining lights of the Copenhagen Wolves. Face check. There's the cleanse coming out. Equilibrium Strike is out in the gravity field. Maybe even a turnaround. There's no Ignite follow-up.
And this is why Rio's obviously running cleanse right here. The audience agrees with a mild clap.
Golf clap.
Golf clap. I'll let it live. But yeah, Rio wants to run cleanse. Cocoon is there. Equilibrium Strike is there. Way better than heal. Why not prevent damage, run away rather than heal it up later? So good summer choice by him. He went to ward for the impending threat of a gank. Just fraction too late.
Yeah. Found the impending gank and was forced to use his cleanse. The mid lane has reset, but look at the invade from H2K. Kasing and Lulex a little bit outnumbered. Cocoon is going to connect on the cow. Here comes Soren. He's been interrupted by Pulverize. Chilling smite on Shook. Kasing's trying to get away. He's headbutted Soren out, but first blood secured on that Irelia, and Lulex forced to flash.
A couple nice plays there. Shook was waiting for the Pulverize to come out. Now he needs to repel.
He's going to repel to minions. Gets away from the gravity field.
So the first time actually we see Kaz work together with Shook as a buddy system. That was so known from H2K from doing that. Lulex and Kasing do it all the time. This time Kaz is ready, going for the Flay Lantern here.
Flay connects, the stun comes out, the death sentence follows into the Cocoon. Copenhagen Wolves stack the CC and pad their kill score.
Teleport got cancelled from Orewamne. Not sure if that was a cupcake from Caitlyn or he just wasn't, you know, faithful enough that it was going to work out. The Wolves, they came to play 2-0 up right now. Beautiful chain CC. Kaz a lot more comfortable than he was yesterday. Thresh definitely working for him so far. He helped Chook out first, handling it around. They knew Ryu was vulnerable. Found an opening. 1.2k gold ahead. This is unheard of.
At this time frame, Wolves, especially with this lineup. There's a replay.
Ryu, I believe he still has flash right now, so he's gonna get flayed. He could technically flay right now. Doesn't flay the hook either. Oh, yeah. He gets stunned mid flash animation. That's what happened. And Shook knows that if he just closes the gap for the Cocoon, it's enough to take Ryu down. And there is no range for freeze on the bot lane, so Oruamne canceled that teleport himself. So he wasn't in full communication with Lulex whether they could, you know, get that kill. Perhaps they could have gotten a return kill, but then they would lose bottom tower. Freeze has been chipping away at that. 50 CS now on the board.
Despite missing first blood in the face checks yesterday and today, and despite the roster swaps, Copenhagen Wolves actually get first blood in half of the games they play. But it seldom gets to more. This time round, Soren, he's gone all in! Chaos Storm and a gravity stun! Ryu, has he outplayed the Chaos Storm and Minions? Ryu!
I'm watching NA LCS because Gravity is coming out on top. In the end of that trade here, Ryu, beautiful.
Look at Soren!
Realization, and yeah, Soren is an emotion. He's laughing. He knows, he knows. He was this close. One more proc, one more auto. But yeah, Ryu. Some people would run away there. Ryu just turns around and says, okay, you're stuck in tower range.
If there's anybody that's going to learn a lesson from being all-in, it's Ryu. For those uninitiated, Ryu lost one of the most epic ZvZ battles.
Let's not...
This isn't quite near that.
Props to the Wolves for doing well, but let's not put Soren on the same pedestal as Faker just yet.
I was just trying to say, Ryu learned to turn it around against lesser opponents.
Obviously, this is crucial though for this matchup. If Soren got that kill, that could have snowballed everything. However, he's still strong. Has a Sheen first on Aurelia. That's a lot of trading potential. Want to dash in, stun, Sheen proc. Need a little more, get on Sheen proc, dash the hell out of there, or use your second Q offensively, but then you're stuck. No way out. He's here, wants to base 69 CS pickaxe. That usually means he has about 1.5k in the bank. Check that real quick if he has his money ready for that BF sword. He does indeed, so he wants to get BF and boots in base and start sieging more towers. Same thing that H2K is doing on the top lane. Gold is evening out ever so slowly.
So H2K 2-2 in towers. They're down 1-2 in kills. That small gold lead that Copenhagen Wolves had built up is now evening out.
But Soren has the pressure. Yesterday the Wolves were getting pushed in all across the board. This time they have pressure on bot, they have pressure in mid. Lenny is doing relatively well. He has the hunting guys finished. Oruamne on the tank shen is kept down, at least. You want to be a main tank, but then you need items to do that. We're looking for Freeze.
Taunt is going to connect. Freeze will find the lantern. Well played by Jesui.
Kaz.
Too many words.
Yeah. Just call him Cheese.
Okay.
Cheese a dog.
Cheese Dog has got away. FYI, Shook has gone Cinder Hulk as opposed to the likes of Runglaive or AP.
Yep.
So tank Elise, I was worried about a front line. That might be a little bit more of it.
Now Spectre's Cow and Ruby Crystal is finished on Odoamne, so he has some magic resistance health, so he can start combating Lenny a little bit better right now. So they will start matching up because he wants to get more experience, more levels. He's, however, 15 CS down, and Odoamne is traditionally not a player that plays too well from behind unless H2K as a team help him. So if CW can keep pressuring mid lane and bot lane, prevent the help coming upwards to Odoamne, perhaps they can keep him down in the game. And that is a win condition. We are not cheering for wards, cheering for blood.
Copenhagen Wolves are looking for it. Cast has flash available.
Good pink ward there, side lane mid, so more offensive pressure from the Wolves, looking for cocoons over the wall. Soren has zone control in the mid lane. However, it's very hard to dive when you have Stan United up and Alistar, so it's likely that the Wolves are setting up this zone here to initiate a dragon, bait the H2K out of their den, and then teleport behind.
Copenhagen Wolves started the dragon. Is the bait enough? Nobody from H2K seems all that interested. You can see the numbers in the middle to upper half of the map.
And look at Lenny, he pings out immediately. He knows if we're doing an aggressive play on the bottom side of the map, that means top lane is exposed. Cross map objectives, always have to look out for that. If you're a struggling team and you find yourself coming one step too late, try and predict what the enemy is doing and move to the other side of the map. Lenny this time, he realized that, took a step backwards, so another adaptation from the Wolves that we did not see yesterday.
Copenhagen Wolves maintain that small lead. They maintain some pressure on the map. Soren's cleared out that mid wave. BF Sword and Pickaxe was picked up by Freeze, and you can see Soren again continuing to try to shove the wave in. So Copenhagen Wolves are dictating the lane pressure at the moment.
Look what Soren's doing as well. He's baiting the Victor spells to come out, dashes back to dodge and dashes back in. So he leaves 4 minions on low HP, and then that beautiful blade dance kind of comes out. Wants to confuse his enemy by moving left, right, and center. See, Ryu doesn't really care. He says, I'm here for the minions. You can dash around all I want. Yeah. I am 15 CS up.
Ryu's still winning in the CS battle.
Now let's see. This is the mid game. 12 minutes. All the early to mid game. How well have the Wolves developed their vision control? Shook with a good read. He knows Lenny will get ganked here. Odoamne needs help. It's coming.
Equalizer's going to be available in a few seconds. Taunt's not going to connect. Lulex is coming in. There's the aggressive repel, and the Equalizer goes way wide. Odoamne goes down to Shook. Now Lulex will reply. It's 1-for-1 as a jungler and top laner are trade. Lenny does not have turret aggro, but Ryu's looking for some blood. I think he'll find it as well. Made his way up to the tri-bush. Lenny's overheated and knocked up. Siphon power, Death Ray, 2-for-1.
They deny experience from Odoamne. They're going on Kasing, level 5, no unbreakable.
Kissing's in trouble. Transcendent Blades is coming out. There's the Stand United now as Odoamne is healed up. Soren's going low. The taunt misses this time round. Flash forward from Hyundai. The Frostbomb will not connect. We do see the Lantern Shield keeping Soren alive. Defensive play, and even the trap.
It's a trap. Run.
Facepalm.
But mid tower is exposed right now. Freeze is out of mana. Shook is coming back 2 times. The Wolves overreach. They know they have to play aggressive to win, but you can't just do blind aggression because H2K will punish that. Look at Rio, full HP.
Should be able to get the tower, Crepo. So Copenhagen Wolves end up trading 2-for-1 in kills, but trading 1-for-1 in towers, an insta-cleanse from Ryu.
Yeah, doesn't want to get chance to see there. Shook, he wanted to get the cocoon before Odoamne could flash, but Odoamne knew that either cocoon will come out there or flash cocoon will taunt in the diagonal path to not get CC there. And then Shook, yeah, he could have opted out because he felt, I've used my flash, therefore it is the rule. I have to commit for the kill. Baited Lenny in. Good collapse from H2K. They always move over, remember. When you initiate on the side, either they move cross map or they immediately send help. But they always try to do something instead of watch. And Ryu is in control, even though he gave up those early kills and had the jungle pressure against him. Now 2-1-0, 20 CS up.
I do think we have to give some praise to the Copenhagen Wolves. Yesterday they were up at 10, today they were up at 10. Individually they're making some plays, but exactly as you said in Picks and Bans, Crepo, the moment we get to mid-game and to team decisions and rotations, H2K start to pick up the flack and they've already turned the gold lead around.
Definitely so, but I like what the Wolves are bringing to the table today, more so than yesterday. It's okay to lose a game if the other team is winning it and taking it away from you. It is not okay to lose a game if all you do is sit back and just let it happen. They're going for these plays. Aggression in the mid lane. They had a level 1 idea of the face check. They honestly read what H2K would do in the game, so strategically, the first few bricks are being laid for that wall, but wall will not be up in time, it seems.
Too late, I'm afraid. Mind if the Copenhagen Wolves drop this game, they will be confirmed 10th, and we see Copenhagen Wolves now under a little bit of pressure, Kasing posturing aggressively.
Now we see the traditional way of H2K to play the game, slightly altered. Usually at this point in the game, Ryu moves to the bot lane, Sharon moves to the mid lane, but because Ryu is so low mobility and Sharon has a Valkyrie, they're keeping him bot. Cass, there's a trap there too.
Death sentence trap, cocoon, tunnel comes out, ace in the hole was used as well. Shook was looking for a repel, wasn't going to get it, but the equalizer!
Burn, baby, burn!
Lenny is dead!
Oh,
wow, Lenny secures the kill is what I wanted to say. Now Kasing's in trouble, he's going to throw down the Unbreakable Will. Odoamne gets the taunt, Freeze gets another one. It's 5-3 in kills. Janen's joined this fight late. Foss Bomb is out, he's hurting, but it's a double kill for Freeze. The cocoon! Shook! And Copenhagen Wolves regain the gold lead. Janen's going to do what he can, but he goes down as well.
And this was 4 against 5. Look at the top lane. Soren wasn't even in this fight. Wolves, what did you have for breakfast? Full-on aggression. A couple ever so minor misplays, but it didn't matter. They caught H2K off guard.
If this trend continues, Crepo, Copenhagen Wolves are on track to have their first gold lead at 20 minutes in 11 games.
Let's watch this again. They hook him into the trap. Shook doesn't realize because he goes for the cocoon. They don't stack the TC efficiently, so this warrants the need for an equalizer, but beautiful equalizer comes in here on the jungler. Don't even know where Lenny came from, but he was there. Flashlight misses, but that's fine. Watch Cass right now. Walk, walk, walk. Look forward, but hook sideways. Thresh turns at the side of the hook animation, or at the end of the hook animation towards his side. Shook is zoning out Kasing. He knows he can 1v1 him later. Then Cass, Freeze, and everybody's dealing it.
Oh, was that a kill? No,
that was
not a replay.
Not a replay.
The same play. This time, it doesn't connect though. Shook needed to get the lantern out. Wow, everybody wants this dragon.
They're not leaving us any time to analyze this game, and frankly, I'm loving it. The Wolves, they came to play, and this is exactly what they should have done earlier. Good progression by them. They are now up 3,400 gold, or 2,400 gold rather, against H2K. And Soren, he's back in the game. Triforce Spike. He becomes a split pusher. Mid lane Aurelia will eventually become a top lane Aurelia, but that's fine. League of Legends at this point in the state of the game, you don't really have to confine yourself to your traditional lanes. H2K though managed to force Wolves out, get the dragon.
So 1-1 in Dragons. Copenhagen Wolves 3,000 gold up. Trying to play the side lane now. Infinity Edge for Freeze with his first triple kill since week 1. And starting to overcome some of that power drop if he can get his shift picked up.
Yeah, look at Odoamne. He's behind a little bit in levels. Usually he's so far ahead as the split push threat, but because Shen was put in a lane swap, Rumble functions so much better in that scenario. So Wolves, they found the right lanes, found the right level 1 play. They found picks, they found fights. Look at the kill participation too. Shook 2, 1 in 6. 100% kill participation on him.
Praised him yesterday, and praised him last week. Since Shook has come in, he's done a lot of work for the Wolves, but unfortunately, it hadn't equated to much back then.
Yeah, initially he looked a little bit out of element. But he's picking up steam again, back to his traditional team. He did play for Copenhagen Wolves before.
Yeah, it does seem that he's making somewhat of an alliance with the rest of the Wolves, making those games count. Soren forced to retreat on the lantern from Cass.
Look at Freeze in the mid lane. This is, honestly, you would expect H2K being the team doing its aggression, lantern out. Freeze chipping away at mid tower, pushing the bottom from Lenny. Copenhagen Wolves borrowing a page or two out of the book of H2K and honestly doing it well.
Copenhagen Wolves playing the waves. They've got a gold advantage, a kill advantage, even on towers and dragons. But how do they break through the wave clear that Victor and Corki have to offer?
Yeah, have to rotate or bait away and move for these neutral objectives. But yeah, Lenny and Cass, much better performance here. We do know that Belgians tend to perform better under pressure as relegations to AUX closer. But yeah, honestly, I'm impressed so far with his Thresh. He's not afraid to make these moves. He went for a couple of flash plays, and even if it fails, it indicates a more positive, aggressive mindset. And it's better to go for a play and fail at this point for the Copenhagen Wolves than just sit back and be like, at least they can't blame me if we lost. It's type of mentality.
Exactly what you mentioned regarding Candy Panda and SK. And you said, look, when we play as though there's no weight on our shoulders, what a difference. And SK dismantled Unicorns yesterday. Today, the Wolves have got a strong lead, but the biggest challenge is those inner turrets. That is what didn't work yesterday for Caitlyn. So let's see whether or not Freeze and the Wolves can get past Odoamne, can get past the inner turrets. And there you have it. First gold lead at 20 minutes in 11 games. This is number 16, I'll have you know. So
It's a long time ago.
it is.
Must feel good for the Wolves, because having to shot call from behind is a tremendously hard task. Shot calling it from ahead makes it a lot easier, much more options at your disposal. Mid lane is exposed, they could go for a bit of a push, get vision. Obviously they will have to deal with Odoamne, he does like split pushing on that Shen. The only issue you have with rotating Soren from mid to top is that he doesn't have a teleport to join your team, so you can't really capitalize as well on your split push. However, he has kill pressure with Ignite on Odoamne, but it'll take a while to get through that tanky Shen.
There's a few itemization changes here. Ryu's opted for a sort of first item Rylai's. Hex Drinker for Soren, not too surprising. We see the Aegis for Lulix, which I know you're going to love to see, Crepo. And some Magic Pen from Shook, relying on Elise's base damages before building some defensive stats. So a few big pickups across the board. Freeze, of course, also with the static Shiv.
Lenny building towards a typical Rumble build here. Shook wants to find out where the enemies are and kill them with the aggression. We have seen full tank CC bot. At least Shook is not a player like that. He wants to be aggressive. He wants to be able to 1v1 carries. If he finds Ryu, he might be able to do it. He finds the Grump. Gets that. Ryu back to wave clear, but the pressure is slowly shifting towards H2K, and this is what we talked about. Step 1, 2, and 3 perhaps for the Wolves.
Hey.
But first time a lead in 11 games. Obviously step 4 is foreign. They have to remember, we watched some VODs, you know, what would SKT do?
Yes, this is now foreign territory for the Copenhagen Wolves.
Look at the damage.
They've not been in this position.
Good trade. He has Ignite up, so dives could be imminent on Odoamne.
Well, thought Odoamne was going to take a little longer to get melted, but Soren does have max rank in the Heathen style.
Lenny could teleport mid, bot, or top rather, right here and force Odoamne out. He could also teleport mid. He has many options at his disposal. Wolves.
Well, he can't teleport when he's being jumped by Chaos Storm. That was a defensive flash from Landon.
But he has teleport and rumble. He can base and switch it around right here.
So, tower secured. Soren gonna try get away. Stand United's being channeled. Defensive
Teleport
flash of Soren over the wall. Teleport coming down from Lenny. It will complete. He's instantly taunted. Can't even get the equalizer off as Kasing chain CCs.
Perhaps would have been wise to cancel that one. Freeze, however, chipped away the middle tower. Ryu is split push duty. This is H2K at their finest. Ryu in the bot lane, the rest in the mid lane. He 1v1 Lenny there. See, this was a good setup from the Wolves. They were just missing that final push. They forced Odoamne out. Soren is strong. He's the man to watch right now, but Ryu, he kind of overstayed. Look at the bottom here. No mana. This should be a kill for Freeze.
He's got a flash. He's got a cleanse.
Steal it, cast. Steal it.
Freeze is just not... Wow. That hurt. Shook is in trouble. Gonna repel away. Flashes over the wall.
Cocoon coming out.
Cocoon in a few seconds. Connects! Shook, can he dodge the missile? Spiderlings. Lulix has flashed for this. Chilling smite. Prey Seeker. I mean, I got a bit excited. It was pretty obvious that was going to happen. But now Soren, he wants more. Look at Lenny coming in from the side. Void Rush is going to get cancelled and interrupted. Blade Surge over the wall. Lulix will be going down, and it's Lenny that gets a kill.
4-0-2 on Freeze. He's doing the Raptors. Looks over his shoulder. Says, okay, there's Lulix in my jungle. Ace in the hole. Back to the Raptor camp. Easy peasy. He finished himself up the static Shiv. Honestly, he has not been that involved. He's the cleanup crew. The janitor. Steelback's no longer in the LCS. He's looking to adopt that moniker. Quite opposite to his traditional style, kinda. The Draven-esque type of champions, but Copenhagen Wolves here. 1-1. And H2K has a mindset. This may come as a blow because you're expecting in your head to go for that buy. You say, okay, OG lost. We only have the Wolves today. Let's face it, that's something members will be saying. Should be an easy victory. Now they find themselves behind 3,000 gold and a resilient bunch of Wolves keeping this game even.
I'm going to go back to that pinch of salt interview we had yesterday with Kasing and Prolly. And they were saying, Prolly was saying that all of H2K's losses in the last week or so is because of the Fnatic loss. Now again, it is an over-dramatization, and it is Prolly. What if you drop a game to Copenhagen Wolves? What does that do to a mindset? honestly probably just say, well, we messed up.
Yeah,
but,
we messed up.
Yeah.
But at this point in the season, neither team really has the chance to mess up. Now let's look at some pressure from Soren. Ryu is putting so much pressure on the map right now. Look top, he's always hitting these towers. Yes, he may die in the process, but he got himself a tower, so hashtag worth. Wolves, they're grouping up in a pack to find an opening, but H2K, traditional 1-3-1, they're almost have, this is like when you watch wrestlers pin somebody down. You can get away until you're locked into that 1-3-1, then it becomes very hard. So they have about 30 seconds right now to push out mid or deal with the bot lane, otherwise this 1-3-1 will become very, very difficult rather to get out of.
What we have seen for Copenhagen Wolves is Soren is able to at least deal with Oda. He was able to put a lot of damage down.
Oh, Ryu might flash hook.
Flash. Oh! Cheese is in the house. The Cocoon follows suit. Oda is channeling the Stand United. Chaos Storm mostly mitigated by the Hourglass, and the Equalizer comes down. Lenny's got the kill onto Ryu. Freeze gets the kill onto Lulex, and another Cocoon hook.
Fantastic
High
use
fives
of vision
all around.
here.
1-2 freezes. That's going to be a great kill for the Copenhagen Wolves. 3-0.
I believe that was his twin brother. And Soren is still at the bot lane. This was beautiful usage of vision, honestly, from Copenhagen Wolves. Cast with a bold play. I'm not sure if he actually saw Ryu or if he was playing the guessing game with the hook connect. And because Copenhagen Wolves didn't really know how many people were committing to that play, Oduamne, because H2K didn't know that, Oduamne connected with Stand United. He landed and suddenly he finds himself collapsed on by 4 Wolves members. Lulex came in too late. One by one, H2K were dropping like flies. And on the bot lane, Soren pressure's even harder. Fantastic play by the Wolves.
Soren's got 2,500 gold. Inner turret top is down. Inner turret bottom is down. Cajun's not needed to push it because Soren's Aurelia is alone.
Let's watch that again. It's vision from both sides. The flash hook, beautiful. Cocoon max range. Played out of the box. Arguable whether that was necessary or not. Lenny, good Zonias here because Odoamne doesn't know what to do. Taunts as the Zonias runs out. Luix comes in but freezes here untouched. So even if Lenny drops, they're still going to pick up 3 kills. Kasing peeks in his head around the corner, says, yeah, I'm out. Hjaran doesn't share that sentiment. He wants to run away later as well. Look at the bot lane. That tower was alive in replay. It no longer is. Soren took that down. So 5,000 lead from the Copenhagen Wolves.
27 minutes. Towers up, dragons up, kills up. I still don't know who's going to deal with Soren's Aurelia.
And now Shook is getting tanky as well. After this offensive penetration build, he can now spec into the Aegis, later the Locket too. Works beautiful. Vorpal Blades, Prey Seekers, Ryu's damage, Sharna's damage. This is probably the most efficient Aegis of the Legion that we've seen. And because they're ahead right now, the Wolves don't have to sacrifice damage for these defensive items because they can go damage first, defense second. And it's such a comfortable position to play with a gold lead. Just have to avoid getting caught. Close out the game. Can they do it?
Same theory for H2K, avoid getting caught. But how do you do that when Cast is landing flash hooks consistently?
Yeah, we talked about this composition, double threat with, honestly, Corki that falls off in the late game. So all our eyes will be on Ryu. Oduamne does not have the split push advantage anymore. So that is one check removed. This should be a bait here. Are they starting the Baron? Nope. They want to fake the Baron right now. Just get the Crying Orb. That's Crying Orb out. Don't get caught doing the Baron. Just don't start it because they have to face it eventually.
The B word. Which one will it be?
That goes down
Favor
quick though.
of the Wolves. It's being melted. 4,000 HP. 3,000. Lulex has got in. Cleanser's already been used. Kasing gets a very good knockup. Lenny's gone golden. He's spitting out flames. Death Ray and the Gravity Field. Nobody's died yet.
A little hesitation on the side of the Wolves. They started Baron, but weren't comfortable with the 50-50 smite. Starting it again. This is honestly, could be the seed of their defeat. Copenhagen Wolves doing it in full vision of H2K. They obviously know what's going on. And that's always a tricky situation to be in, you know, because 1 or 2 more seconds of patience and hesitation on the side of H2K could have won you the game with that Baron. H2K have a good grasp of how long it takes to take that Baron. They move in at the right time. Wait until the Wolves are chunked. Low, lost HP, lost some cooldowns. Then they sweep in. Gold gap closed down to 4,000 gold right now.
Yeah. H2K got their 5th tower of the game, but with the Baron being used as a big bait, Copenhagen Wolves historically not had the greatest. But again, when you're 2 and 13,
Ryu might get engaged on here.
Very
TP comes in.
Teleport's coming up. Again, there's the cleanse there from Course. The death sentence, one more. 5v4, this is surely going to be Baron.
Yeah, this now you can bait the Baron by doing it because you want them to face it. Blue X, come here, says Kaz. I'll flay you away. He's on zone control duty, hunting the Rex side.
So let's find out. Baron,
hold the flay, hold the flay. Just hold the flay for the tunnel. That's all you have to do.
Secured. Kaz is now going to be looking
too early.
A little bit early. Got the lantern. Gonna go over. Soren should be able to do it as Freeze gets the kill.
It buys him enough time for his team to follow up. Good CC management, I guess, from Kaz. And the Wolves are 6,000 gold in the lead. They have a Baron buff. Ryu is down. Cuds is down on him. Flash is up now.
Now I really want to see a Banner of Command. Another death sentence, but it's not on the man you want. Flay Cocoon. 0-1, they're forced to flash. Banner of Command means Victor cannot kill that minion. Means Corky's rockets cannot kill that minion. Do it, Wolves. Do it for me. Copenhagen Wolves, 7,000 gold in the lead. 9 kills up. A Dragon up. A Baron up. This is on track to be the biggest upset of the summer split.
Definitely so, and it is honestly, except the upset of Elements beating Fnatic later, this will be the biggest upset.
Maybe it's Upset Friday.
Upset Friday, indeed. But yeah, it's always fun to joke around. Also about that Banner of Command. Call it Banter of Command, if you will.
I'll
really
remember that.
Really waiting for that to come out. It's a little late though if it comes out after the Banner buff, and kind of inefficient if you already have a locket, so perhaps we'll see it a different day.
Stop killing my dreams, Crepo.
Group recall, Dragon number 3. It's looking great. However, all inhibitors are still alive, all base towers are still alive. We've seen this before. Certain teams in the LCS nearing the bottom part of the standings have had issues closing. But so far, good. I wouldn't even call it textbook play from the Wolves. Honestly, good aggressive play from the Wolves.
Individual members stepping up.
Definitely so.
Kaz is having a great game. Soren in lane, despite getting 1v1 while ahead, also having a great Irelia performance. Constantly forcing people from H2K to deal with him. And Freeze is basically fully enabled. BT, Ayed, Shiv, and Last Whisper. There's still room to grow, of course, but that is a terrifying Caitlyn as we've gone over 31 minutes.
Maximum velocity on the pain train right here for Copenhagen Wolves. They started out as Graphite, but put in enough pressure on them. Emerged a beautiful diamond.
Let's see whether or not they have focus to finish this.
Well, the split machine in top lane. Soren doing the same in the bot lane. No teleport on Soren, obviously, since he's running Ignite. Odo does have teleport and Stand United. The Wolves putting pressure in the mid lane.
We'll secure this tower despite having no minions, and Cast is going to be able to zone away H2K. Ryu only got that death cap and Rylai's to play with.
Baron is going to fade anytime right now. They're clearing this wave, so that's one pressure point gone. 30 more seconds for bot wave. Mid wave, they have to find an opening here because Odo is knocking on the top door.
There is a flash available for Cast. Will he find a target? Soren, however's got Yarn, and Stand United's coming out. Soren's got him! 1v1 and under the tower. Equalizers down from Lenny. They're burning out Lulex. Freeze is going to go 8-0-2. The death sentence from Cast connects.
Odo is stuck in the top lane because he used Stand United. He could teleport down, but he's choosing to base. And Inhibitor's going to drop on the bot lane. H2K, save what you can.
Copenhagen Wolves have cracked open the base. The tower's down and an Inhibitor will follow shortly. Odo won there. I don't know if you want this one.
Look at the control. Zoning control from Sword. Everybody's afraid of the dash E because he doesn't do enough damage on his Q ability to actually put them low enough that the Equilibrium Strike doesn't stun. So good zone control there. Copenhagen Wolves exit. Baron led into Inhibitor. 3 dragons on the board. 17 kills to 6. And bases.
Copenhagen Wolves. Stunning turnaround game. Remind everybody, if the Wolves end up losing, they're guaranteed auto relegation. If they end up winning, the Wolves have to then take down Rockets and Giants. Hope SK lose a few games to make it into ninth, to make it into the promotion tournament. The chances are still there. And what a way to start for the Wolves.
Let's take a look at builds here. Double the Yandere is finished. Obviously this item has been changed in patch 5.13. More base AP damage on that item. Percent damage is likely still the same. Rumble obviously more tier 1 pick, and Shook is adding to the damage pool right here, and the Wolves, threats everywhere. Even Cass connecting the hooks is enough to spell defeat. Hjarnan can't duel Soren on his own, even with the help of Stand United, so... Grim moment. And now the race begins. Soren on the bottom lane, on top lane, Odo on the bot lane. Which is better? Tell you.
Soren, I gather.
Well, it's not a hypothetical question.
Okay, right.
More of a lead into a story that we're telling here, Trev. All right, take it away.
All right, we're going for another tower dive, hopefully. Cast doesn't connect with a death sentence this time around. Soren looking for a target as you see Ryu and Hjarnan clearing out the way.
Now they forced Odo on their back, so that's okay. They buy themselves some time. Bottom lane is still pushing towards the H2K side. Wolves, honestly, they can wait about a minute here. Peel back, look at the wards. There are a couple of wards in the pit from H2K, but they likely will fade. Just gonna sweep over on my personal screen here and check. Yeah, about 90 seconds left on those wards, so exactly enough for the Wolves to go back completely into darkness. Should they held open this siege, the burden of the first move is not upon them. Just keep H2K locked in the base, and this might be what they're trying to do here.
Look at the bottom wave, bottom lane rather. Those super minions still starting to clump up. Soren's gonna shove in middle as well, while the rest of the Wolves are trying to keep H2K in the top.
Yeah, ticking time. 50 seconds towards Baron right now. Wards in that pit. They are down.
Lulex looking for a flank. Stand United is up, but Soren is very close by. Everyone there again, going to deal with the minions in the bottom lane. 30 seconds until Baron. Copenhagen Wolves still playing safe. Cast.
And watch Freeze right now. Putting up a defensive trap line, only hitting the tower or anybody close if he has a shield charged up. 8 kills, 0 deaths. He's playing safe because he can. They don't have to commit. All the time in the world. No flanks from Odo out either. Kasing is the only threat. No flash on him if they have that timer. Look at those wards in the pit. They're still there, but they're about to disappear. 15 more seconds. The Wolves right now are assuming that vision is dark. They're assuming H2K hasn't been here in a while, so we can bait. However, H2K, luckily for them, there's a couple of wards left.
Just
in time.
out.
So the Wolves, they see that ward. They have to react.
Teleport's coming in. H2K are going to look for a fight. Odo is going to dash away from the death sentence. Baron fully regenning. Equalizers available. Super minions, look at the mini-map. Pushing into the base.
This may throw the Wolves off guard though. The race for the Scuttle Crab begins now. This gives us so much information. Good, secure by the Wolves. It may be a little surprised by those wards.
Odo is backed off to deal with the supers.
They can burn through Stand United though. They would almost have to use it on Kasing to guarantee that Odo lands.
H2K splitting their forces. Soren left to push top, while the rest of the minions.
Bold move.
Gonna try burn through Baron with those double Leandries and very fed freeze. Stand United's coming down onto Lulex. The equalizer's gonna split up the team, and Kasing looks for a knockup. Soren's in the back, and he's down. He's got in, but he went far too deep. Defensive flashes as Lenny is trying to burn away as he's overheated. Shook gets caught. He's not gonna be able to make it to the lantern. He does! Repels to the lantern, makes his way out. Super minions are on the Nexus turret, but they've lost Soren. H2K are trying to dig deep. H2K are trying to pull a Fnatic. They are down 7,000 gold. Smite up.
Flashes up.
50. Will it be enough? Ace in the hole. Gonna tag onto Kasing. Supers. Gonna take out at least one of those Nexus turrets. Shook is going low. 2,000 HP. The torch gets dodged. Repel comes in. Flash forward. Shook is down. Shook is down, and Lulex smites the Baron. Cast, despite connecting with a death sentence, is committed to death as Hjarnan gets a kill. H2K trade kills back and forth, but get the Baron.
They have the Baron buff, and they're looking at middle, and look at it. 2 or 3 waves are stacked up in that middle tower. Hjarnan doesn't want to do it. Doesn't want to commit. He's too afraid of it. 4th Dragon's on the platter though for Copenhagen Wolves. Honestly, yeah, tricky late game shot calling. Good, calm shot calling from H2K. And honestly, Kasing, he won that fight. 3-man pulverized, unbreakable. He took more damage. He zoned better than Soren could do. Little Trigger happy on that Aurelia. Wasn't ready for his team to get cut off, and Lenny's equalizer just wasn't quite there. All in all, fantastic Baron fight. Really fun to watch.
Are they coming back?
Not clean though, not clean. Honestly, you shouldn't start this Baron when you know the Wolves are going to face check anyways. Equalizer, look, doesn't connect. Watch Kasing. Knock, bomb. Right there, 3-man, peeling with Unbreakable. He's keeping 4 people busy. Meanwhile, Soren died. Lewis is spacing out. Look at Shook though. He's going to rappel up, down into the Lantern. That's beautiful. And then the next part of the fight, we might not see it here, but that Baron, people are aware of Shook. They're keeping it at 2K. They want him to rappel in. Later on, Shook, beautiful rappel as well, dodging the count from Oduamne, but eventually ran too low on health. Got killed.
Oh, look at that. Righteous Glory engage from Kasing.
Shook is top lane.
Shook is way out of position. H2K, they've sprung back to life, and they have secured an inhibitor in the mid lane. Shook should not have been there.
Nope. I would understand that the Wolves would be a little flustered right here. Definitely very, very sad to see them fall behind.
But as we've said, that was the first time the Wolves had a lead. That was the first time the Wolves had to look to close.
They still have a lead.
With this roster. And unfortunately, the Baron bait. It worked the first time, it didn't the second. Oduamne's got the backup of Hyanin.
Yes, Thornmail too. He can tank these towers. They don't even need the minions. They just draw aggro. Look at him, Hyanin. 1 hit, 2 hits. Not the most damage in the late game, but still counts. Now look at Soren. He wants to flank. He wants to find his way to Ryu. Ryu's the man to watch. It's a boatload of AP. Just gonna pan over. 789, approaching the 800 AP mark with the Void Staff. Look at zone control from the Rylai's 2.
Gets it sends, connects on Oduamne, but the tower's dropped. Lenny, not the greatest of equalizers. H2K will be happy with securing the objective and slightly disengaged. Cocoon connects on Ryu. They're going to follow through Shook. It's going to sink in that Venomous Bite, but he's down. Hyanin's got the kill. Will be a reply from Soren. It's the SNS. Then we did see Freeze connecting with those auto attacks. Soren going to look for more minions in the middle and the bottom lane. 1 for 2.
Ryu being greedy with the cleanse right here. He got cocooned. Pretty sure he had his cleanse up, but he thought there was nobody committing from the Wolves' side to that play. Eventually connected. Obviously, Soren still had a dash up. Freeze trying to hold, has to be wary. No flash on Oduamne. If Freeze knows that, he can play up. If he's scared of the taunt flash, you have to be a little more hesitant. Those rockets don't do much anymore in the late game. It's the point where you might as well sell your Magic Pen boots for attack speed boots if you run out of money, or if you have money enough. What a game, though.
Shook and Soren are doing such great work at finding the targets.
Look at Freeze. 10-0-3. 13 KDA if you count the 0 as a 1. Divide by 0.
Today's LCS games brought to you by Mats, with Quick Shot and Crepo, where we can add 10-3 and 14-13. That's about as complex as it'll get.
Hey, man. The Hard Knock Live on the caster desk right here.
Okay.
Barely have time for league.
Okay, we need to step back. We need to step back. There are super minions in the middle that are about to time out shortly. Copenhagen Wolves seem to be defending. Baron's worn off, but Wolves are 1 dragon away from Aspect.
Honestly, any fight can decide this game at this point. Death timers are so long, there's no Baron on the field. Dragon is up there. H2K is aware of Copenhagen Wolves. So let's see how well these teams are pre-planning their things, if they can catch each other off guard. His Vision Ward. Because later in the game, your Sidestones, no Sidestone on Lulex this game, so that means CW has double the wards at their disposal. So H2K will have to use their trinkets very well. And if CW can sweep, honestly surprised that Shook doesn't have his trinket upgraded at 43 minutes in the game, but who am I to judge? Colorcaster, I get the judge.
Shook.
You should have upgraded your trinket, Shook.
Shook, of course, investing into those items. We're about to see another Siege death sentence. Connects on Lulex.
They wanted to siege into the trap.
But he follows. Righteous Glory and the Stand United. Kasing's going to get hooked up and going to unbreakable instantly. The inhibitor's down. That's the objective at H2K. Very obviously wanted.
Now, Cleanse gets used on Ryu because he walked into the trap. This might be big.
Look at that! There's no unbreakable!
Oh!
The hook just goes wide! Kasing sacrifices himself to get one more knockup. Here comes Soren. Gonna get slowed by that death ray. Flash has been burned by Ryu. Copenhagen Wolves are continuing the chase. There's no flash from Cast. He's already used a lot of his actives. H2K Thought about going in. Dashes over the wall. Ryu's now been caught by Soren. Chaos Storm is going to come out. Oduwamne has already used the taunt. Soren's got to kill. Is this the fight that wins Copenhagen Wolves the game? Soren continues chasing down Oduwamne. Oduwamne needs to play for time, but Shook, what are you doing? Chilling Smite, he's repelled up to buy some time. Will not find the lantern. We did see Oduwamne caught out, but again, this is playing for time. Lulex, he's going to get caught out. 1 versus 4, the Wolves, they might be able to get an in-hit.
This could very well be but this start of the game right here. Fifth Dragon is coming up. I almost knocked my headset off my head in this fight. Freeze is chasing Yarn here, and the biggest point was Ryu accidentally walked into a trap all the way at the inhibitor. He used his cleanse, and this changed the entire pacing and stage of what followed, because he had to constantly be scared of the CC flash from Kaz. Hook almost went wide. I even couldn't pronounce Ryu's name at that point. That's how excited I was for that. And eventually, Soren finds the equilibrium strike. Fifth Dragon here. Will go down.
Secured.
Aspect should be secured. So Wolves, no inhibitor though. This game is all kinds of crazy right now.
45 minutes. We've seen 2 Barons. We've seen 6 Dragons. 36 kills.
And 100% reason to remember the game.
Teleports
Baron's quick.
up for Oduwamne if he wants to join, but nobody else from H2K is nearby.
They have to yield. Now, there's only one Nexus Tower. On the side of the Copenhagen Wolves, so the Backdoor Nation could attack. Thormail is live on Oduwamne. If you can get Yarn in there, distract the Wolves, it would be a grim way to lose this game. And obviously they are already, they're erring on the side of caution right here. He's seeing ulti use, no vision, so he doesn't know how many people are waiting for him. But Soren,
he's going to get caught out and headbutts it back. This is 1v4. He does have Guardian Angel. That's going to pop. I think the Lantern should time out because Sing's waiting to block. They will get the kill on Soren, so that's a mistake. With Aspect and Baron.
Look at the player cam. Soren, he knows. He's wondering, did I shave this morning?
Crepo, I've seen one other game in Europe this summer where a team with Aspect and Baron lost. It was SK against Rocket.
Hang on. Red Carpet is still alive. Equalizer could mean a whole lot if H2K tunnel in. Sing doesn't have the Unbreakable for zoning purposes. Ryu, Cleanse is about to come up, so watch him, watch his damage, watch his spacing. Nuke Duck has been phenomenal on that earlier.
Lulex is caught. Gonna tunnel away. Yarnan gonna start chunking the inhibitor. Look at that big crit from Freeze. Oduwamne.
30 seconds. 30 seconds we need for Soren. Top lane's going in. Yarn is hitting the inhibitor.
The pressure is up. Lenny Equalizer. Will he throw it? Yes! Yarnan's being melted down. Death sentence on Oduwamne. That's going to be the tank. Forced to dash away.
Watch Freeze. Watch Freeze.
Omen stays alive, but Freeze gets the kill. He's got a 90 caliber net forwards. Here's a look at the death rate. Going to find the tag. Rockets connecting. Kasing's going to throw down an Unbreakable Will, but he may be the sacrificial cow. Lenny, he teleported behind. H2K, Yarnan's got the kill onto Lenny. Equilibrium Strike's going to be flashed away as Yarnan's trying to escape. 4 versus 1.
From Copenhagen Wolves that they win 4 against 5. Soren wasn't here. He wasn't there earlier. He is at the Nexus. There's no teleport anymore. Freeze even used his Mercurial Scimitar to just get the 50% movement speed boost for 1 second, and that was enough to land the damage. Wolves 4 against 1 right now.
This has to be the game. Cast or Shook. One form of CC. Copenhagen Wolves to 10,000 gold. Baron, empowered minions. They've taken a Nexus turret. The Copenhagen Wolves are on the verge of being eliminated from the LCS, and they find a fantastic performance against the league's #2 team. H2K lose a Nexus turret. The Copenhagen Wolves will cause the biggest upset of the summer split, taking down H2K.
This is something we haven't seen in a while. Happy faces, hugs all around. Must feel good for them to be able to make the walk to the other team instead of having every week the other team walk towards you. And honestly, the picks kind of gave it away. You said it. Comfort zone, solo queue-esque almost, over team compositions. Aggression everywhere for the Wolves. Level 1, they were ready. So step into my trap, step into my web, said Shook, but it wasn't enough. Oduwamne did not drop. But then Soren First blood onto Ryu with the help of Shook. Counter kill by Ryu later, but it spelled what was going to be a beautiful, beautiful game to watch and cast.
What an incredible turnaround. Copenhagen Wolves put together a team composition that was reliant on individual performances. And individuals stepped up.
But strategically, the biggest thing was the lane swap. Odoamne fell behind. Rumble is finding the lane swap. Utility across the board. Magic penetration is all you kind of need in the early game. He was not that split push threat, especially because in the equation, you think, sure, top laner behind, split push is even, but Soren, that guy on your screen right now, he moves from the mid lane to the top lane or bot lane, wherever he may be, and he becomes that split pusher with the added kill pressure of the Ignite. Put Odoamne on the back foot. All he knows.
Tough game.
Drawing board. Don't get lane swapped upon in this composition. Protect Ryu a little better, but so many plays. Could have turned the game around. Baron plays so close. Shook though. And he still has the mechanics.
That's for sure.
Dip, duck, and...
But here, though, Origin is about to face off against SK Gaming. Let's start by taking a look at Origin. Two teams, of course, SK and Origin. Very different things to focus on when we come into this one. On the side of Origin, wanting to secure that second place. And then yesterday versus Gambit, oof, that Nidalee from Diamond completely killed them in the early game.
Yeah, I mean, Origin had a fine start to the game. It was very even. Amazing and Diamond were like following each other around the lanes. But then suddenly, Diamond and the rest of Gambit started out-roaming them, picked the right team fight, managed to get a few kills. And Origin as a team, they rely so much on having this strong mid-game. If they don't have it, everything just falls apart from them. And it's a big problem. In the last 4 games where they've been behind the mid-game, they've lost everything. We need to see them fix this. Now that H2K lost the game, though, if Origin wins this one and wins the next one again, they might just secure that spot on their own.
Yeah, they may very well do. I think a key factor in yesterday's games, though, when it comes to why they ended up losing that game from being behind in the mid-game, they traded their own kills, 4 kills, and objectives.
True.
And if you're not getting a net gain when you're trying to get kills, then you're always going to fall behind when it comes to playing out the mid-game.
And also we saw a little bit of some of the things we talked about before, with like Peke in the mid lane being very passive in the laning phase. Betty was roaming around, having more impact in the mid-game. So combine that with Diamond having a great start, that was enough to really start snowballing it for Gambit. And then Forgiven and, of course, Capo just take it over. And Lucian won a game, by the way, in case you
They definitely did. We will not forget that. And then turning to the opponents of OG in this one, though, SK, as said, they're fighting to climb as much as possible and stay out of the bottom of the tables as much as possible. And they came out swinging yesterday in their game versus the Unicorns of Love. Candy Panda said in the post-game interview, well, we picked something that is easy to execute. It's all we can do. It was a poke comp, though, so not incredibly easy. Playing good with their backs against the wall, honestly.
Yeah, they played very well yesterday in the game. And honestly, although Candy Panda said it was easy, they got a couple of comfortable champions, but some new things mixed in there again. Starting with the comfortable ones, Sven, he did so well in yesterday's games on the Nidalee against the Unicorns of Love. When you look at it, 5-0-4 before 15 minutes, just a crazy opening to the game. We'll take a look at some of his highlights from yesterday. Maybe a little bit to do with the Unicorns of Love changes that they had in their lineup, but certainly looking very strong out of the jungle.
Yeah, just a perfect setup for him. SK had 3 lanes that were pushing and winning, so he could invade in and find Gilius, and he was just looking for him every single time. And another guy as well, performing well for SK, was in Rated. He picked Shen support. We haven't seen it too much here in Europe. So Flex pick normally. Now the clips are running out here. What a great performance for him. I mean, great taunts, great subs. He won the laning phase as well. It's his birthday today, so go on Twitter, wish him happy birthday. And if he can play Shen again, him and Candy Panda might be able to make some work.
It'd be a bit of a double-edged sword for some, the players here if there is a birthday present for N-Rated in the form of a win, because a win here will put the Copenhagen Wolves out of the LCS. So for SK, while it isn't do or die for them, it's certainly, this one is just no chance of auto-relegation for SK. They would be on their way to, at a minimum, a promotion tournament spot.
Well, we'll see what happens. The stage is set. Let's check in with Quickshot and Crepo and load into that game.
Thank you very much, Shucks and the analyst desk. Final preparations for picks and bans are underway, so let's run down the rosters once more. On the blue side, it will, of course, be Origin, with Soaz in the top lane, Amazing in the jungle, Peck in mid, Niels and Mithy the AD carry, and support with Leduc, their coach, looking to bounce back from the loss from yesterday.
Yeah, and they're obviously playing against SK Gaming right there. The man on your screen, and rated is their support. We got the rest of the roster, Freddy in the top lane, Svensk in the jungle, Fox mid, Candy Panda, AD carry, and their coach, Lucas Schenke.
And of course, we did just briefly hear the crowd singing happy birthday to N-Rated. We'll see if he can gift SK a 2-0. I'd like to do another update and reminder. If SK win this game, Copenhagen Wolves are in 10th in automatic relegation.
It's kind of not how birthdays work. You receive gifts, you don't give them. I don't know about that is where you're from. Back in Belgium, when it's my birthday, I get the gifts. But hopefully SK gets the gift of this game to auto relegation.
I've been taught in the office that if it's your birthday in Germany, you have to bring the cake to the office.
I'm new to the office. I never heard this, by the way. Next time I don't have a cake, it's my fault. But yeah, this game, very many things on the line. SK obviously, not only did they want to not get relegated, they also still have a small chance to make it into playoffs. So they've been looking better and better. And honestly, yesterday, stellar performance by them.
Yeah, I'm glad you bring that up. Elements currently 6 wins, 9 losses ahead of them, still in promo. Then you look at Rocket and Giants, rather Gambit and UOL, who are 7 wins, 8 losses. So that's a 2-game difference. If SK can pick up a surprise win against Origin, maybe they can sneak their way in. But of course, this is double-edged sword for SK. Because of course, if they lose, they're also one step closer to swapping places with Copenhagen Wolves. If SK lose out and Copenhagen Wolves win out.
Yeah, but that's still a mile off. Honestly, can be a very interesting game. The way these storylines are setting themselves up makes it very easy for us. Origin looking weaker, SK on the rise here. Main question I have, once we eventually get into picks and bans, is that Shen. Is the Shen and the Lulu going to get respected? Because before, N-Rated would only perform super well on Lulu. That eventually got banned out. Then he resorted to the Shen and said, hey, I have another trick up my sleeve. They picked it first. Everybody thought it was going to Freddy.
Yeah.
Nope. Went to N-Rated. Will they ban it out and force a third champion coming out on the side of N-Rated? Or has SK prepared something else for Origin right here?
Well, yesterday, Soaz ran that Nautilus top for the first time in the split. We should be jumping into picks and bans in just a couple of minutes. I'm hearing from production that the players are almost ready. We are on 5-13, as we mentioned a good couple of times. Callista is a concern. Both of these teams run and play that. Civ is up there as well.
The camera can switch really quick. How is it just? I'm not ready for this.
You're adjusting a tie. I'm looking at my notes.
Yeah. Surprise.
If Shen is a big question, Rumble is a good pick for Soaz, less so for Freddy.
Yeah.
So where would you prioritize your bans? Because I know coming into this, we talked a lot about the Lulu. Get Lulu off the table and N-Rated has had less impact.
I would just make sure that once you exit the draft that you can count the lanes, the matchups. Do we get pushed in top? If the answer is yes, then you better not get pushed in the middle and bottom as well, because then it doesn't matter what Svensk is playing, he will invade and make your life miserable. But honestly, this is not a style. Usually, at least expect it can go 50-50 in terms of pressure in the mid lane. Origin don't really play around it that much, but they at least pick him champions that he can go even with. Maybe not the Vladimir, but he hasn't really been picking that too much recently. Just so big push against SK. Don't let them push you in and play their style. Just keep them back. Don't let Svensk invade, and then individually and as a team, Origin should technically outclass this SK Gaming lineup. But that's only my opinion, of course, and we'll have to see how it plays out on the Rift.
You could have said the same theory against Gambit yesterday for Origin.
Yeah.
Could have.
Coulda, woulda, shoulda.
Coulda, woulda, shoulda. Picks and bans will be coming up in just a brief moment, and we'll find out exactly how and where these teams prioritize their picks and bans. For SK, it's a matter of playing with their backs against the wall, but carefree. And for Origin, it's actually for proving they belong in second place, with H2K dropping to Copenhagen Wolves. That second semi-final berth is one step closer.
Yeah, and the last time these two teams faced off, it was a different time, a different meta. Origin was on the rise, SK was looking shaky. Completely, look at those picks right there. You know, Sejuani, we haven't seen her in quite a while. Vladimir mid, maybe Urgot, the AD carry position. Things have shifted around quite a bit. List is obviously still up there, mildly nerfed. Origin, they're hitting the points. Yeah, they're hitting exactly picks that SK played yesterday. They want to get rid of the comfort. No Nidalee hard invades, no Jace, you know, from Fox coming out to support that. Really just want to shut that down.
No bans yet towards N-Rated either. Nope. We've seen those Lulus banned out actually 4 times in recent weeks. Azir taken away from Fox.
Could be overconfidence. Rated has performed very well on the Lulu because it allows them to push. Just have the defensive peel in teamfight. Just press R, wild growth, knock him up. Facilitate that 2v2 push that so Candy Panda and Rated just like doing so much.
So Victor is still up and available. Champion that both of these players have run in the mid lane.
I would argue Varus is a better pick there. A little bit of jungle pressure in return on SK Gaming, and this prompts the Gragas first pick from Origin. They are not comfortable with digging deep for the Lee Sin. However, SK Gaming, maybe Candy Panda has played her. However, Niels knows how to play that champion too, so Niels is actually a player that I could see Tristana on as a counter to the Kalista in the lane. I'm actually hoping that actually comes to play so I can see the matchup playing on the stage, because you can theorize so much as you want. You can play as much solo queue as you want. You kind of still need to see it happen on the stage.
Yeah, we'll see if it gets locked in. It was going to be the Gragas, so SK have already burned through 30 seconds of their first rotation worth of picks. Alistar up, Kalista's up, top lane is up. There's no real pressure on the jungler.
They could pick a jungler to just not give away information too much, you know, keep the other roles dark. They could also lock some priority picks here. Yeah. Thresh is not really an unrated champion, but you could get it away from mid. The Alistar is an unrated champion that we have seen in the past. However, with the lock-on, as we're shifting over, that goes one theory out of the winner. Victor, as you said, locked in. We might see a Varus mirror that we've seen a couple of times already today. On the other side, Alice likely picked up by Miffy here.
Maybe Pekka will run Irelia into Victor. We've seen it twice in EU already. We're expecting it, but of course, Kalista up, making it to the 3rd rotation. Kalista has fallen a tiny bit off the #1 priority because of the nerf, because of the changes in the patch, but it's still exceptionally powerful.
Also because of poke, I guess, but they could set up for a Kalistar bot lane, but they choose not to do so. So far, obviously, we're still hovering. Shouldn't quite pay too much attention to that. Let's focus on what SK Gaming locked in. Victor for Fox. So he has that wave clear pressure already. Shen could be a split push tool. On the side of SK Gaming, Candy Panda could actually go Varus AD carry to steal that away from Peke. We've seen stranger things in the LCS. I like Varus as an AD carry. I think he actually does well into Corki too.
Who would you pair with a support if Freddy is not going to run Shen?
It'll be Yona. It's an old school way, man. It's back to season 2.
Right, just played a lot of Yona.
Yeah, he could.
Well,
or Annie. Something that sets up your ultimate, but I think we're theorizing.
Yeah, we're having a bit of fun with this one.
Yeah. Let's see what they do. So if that Gnar gets locked in, that removes the flex potential from that Shen. However, that would mean that SK values hiding their AD carry more than flexing their Shen. That is a tad weird. They want to see the full bot lane of Origin, then decide whether they want to swap AD carry or 2v2 AD carry. Corki Thresh is an okay lane. It has more offensive tools than a usual Corki lane has, but it's still a Corki lane that you tend to prefer in a swap. Thresh will be a fantastic roamer, so Corki solo experience is what you want, Thresh roaming is what you want. Thresh operates well on low levels. You go full wolf style level 2 when your AD carry bangs level 6, all possible. And that Varus that was hovered by SK Gaming has been locked in by Origin.
And the moment it was locked in, Svenskeren actually lifted his hands up and put them down. I mean, maybe SK was, you know, they were expecting it, but it was a cost they made. The Gnar for Freddy is his most played champion. That's the 5th time in the team's 16 games.
Yeah, but now look at Candy Panda. You have to make it work. You have one AD carry banned out on Sivir, one picked away on Corki. If you want to wait this long for your AD carry pick, you better make it worth it. I want to see it Raven. But yeah, Kalista being hovered. Kog'Maw perhaps. Alright, so a different style here. SK scaling AD carry, low mobility. Scaling mid laner, low mobility if you don't count the Q. I mean, he's easily caught off guard.
Yeah.
That is the point we're trying to make. However, in terms of raw lockdown, there is no flash W from a Maokai coming out. We have peel from Shen, we have peel from Gnar. We have defensive kick from Lee Sin. You can't underestimate that. Just kick somebody out when they're piling on top of your carries. Straight line, just play bowling with them. Could be enough for SK Gaming to keep Kog'Maw and Fox's Victor alive.
And that's the first time that Candy Panda has played the Kog'Maw.
The Kog'Maw.
This summer. So first time Cog for him. Into, of course, all the poke in the range from Gragas, from Rumble, from Corki.
Yeah, let's run over
a lot of importance on positioning.
Let's run over the origin composition. It is what we last week would have called the extreme definition of the meta composition. Rumble in the top lane, which is magic damage, soft engage or follow-up engage. We have double poke with 80 poke in the mid lane, and then the hybrid damage coming out of Corki in the bot lane with the magic damage poke. So full-on meta composition. But we've had time to develop counter plays to meta. Will it be the Shen Talon Flash engages and just the zone control coming out of Victor? We'll see.
Well, you guys know what to do. Will Upset Friday continue? Will SK pick up the victory? If you think so, hashtag SK win.
Or is Origin going to take it? Hashtag OG win.
Hot,
Original gangsters here on the Rift.
the heartthrob Peke playing the Heart Seeker Varus.
It would be traditional if this game ends in a heart-stopping backdoor. Peke did it against SK, right? Memory serves correct.
It's a long time ago, back when Enrated used to play for Fnatic. And Peke played for Fnatic as well. How times have changed.
Crepo was still good at the game. How times have changed.
That's debatable.
Debatable. When Crepo believed he was still good at the game.
Crepo, I love you, and you're definitely self-deprecating. You don't need to.
I have moderate amounts of affection for you too, Trevor. Alright, defensive line of scrimmage, no team.
Access denied.
Access denied.
Defensive fan across the river. 2 hour-long games make you a little loopy, apparently. No invades yet.
Nope.
But we have seen late invades that have almost cost kills.
Svenskeren, he's playing Lee Sin. Traditionally, what SK like doing, I've harped on this before, is push in and counter jungle. Get that aggression going. Same way Shook wants to get some openings on the Lee Sin. Obviously, Gragas scales better as he can build full tank. Becomes a disruption. Body Slam Flash is crucial. If it hits Fox with no flash, or Candy Bat with no flash, the fight is over. Body Slam Flash into knockback. Follow up with the Varus ulti is enough to wreak havoc.
And it is the 3rd consecutive victor we've seen today. Fox now is opting for Flash Heal as opposed to Cleanse. And it's Ghost Flash for Peke's Varus.
Reminiscent of yesterday. Fox not leashing, going for the insta-push on Victor. Hope. I want to keep the camera on the mid lane, see if he's going to immediately start spamming that E on the minions. Or not. And then Freddy leashing in the top lane. OG rarely do a camp, they always seem to stop the enemy.
It's a long time past, Crepo, but that little graphic that flashed up. When OG did play that Urgot in week 2, that was the game that had over 30 kills, and Origin just showed off. So, level 1, Raids and Candy.
You gotta focus the 80 carry.
Sideways, Frost Bomb comes out. Supports take a lot of damage.
You always want to focus 80 carries in these trades. Not sure why Candy Panda decided to go melee range there. Raided, got into melee range too. This is double range advantage, so this lane could actually go into Corki's favor, because there's AoE wave clear too. And Raided will do his best to zone here, but if he eats a flay, he can get counter-traded upon. If he just wants to zone as much, hit these creeps. Level 2 race is on the 3rd creep of the 2nd wave, provided that experience wasn't lost level 1. So both teams are racing, and then you switch the aggression because everybody's
hits.
Tunneling in.
Ignites have traded 200 HP apiece. Candy Panda's down, Mythy's low as well, but it's 80 carry for SK. The taunt connects on Niels as well as the Void, who's Candy and Rated actually got the earlier level 2. Mythy
because they
missed
the creep. Niels and Mythy went aggressive because they weren't going to level up on the 3rd creep. We see it right there. It died already, so they're trying to deny SK that level up. Then SK realized that they can just get level 2 counter trading. So beautiful exchange here. Really, really interesting to see how that develops. I wonder if SK was aware of the experience deficit OG had.
So all of the consumables used for Candy and Niels. Enrated's burned through his. Only Mythy with a cookie left in his pocket. We caught quick glimpses of the junglers. Amazing starter to back. We saw Svenskeren moving to his blue.
Yeah, but look at the push. Beck has push advantage in mid. Because bottom is pushing in. Top is pushing in. Imagine if Fox was pushing in mid lane right now. That would mean Svenskeren had free reign to counter jungle. He doesn't have that right now. Be careful. Peke is playing very bold here. Has that ward on the right side, so he's hoping that Svenskeren will show. And he does.
Let's see what Sven can do with this. Because when SK are winning games, and when SK are performing well, it's when Sven is invading and stealing away buffs. We've seen him do this countless times throughout the split. There's nothing to steal this time around. Amazing. Delayed his blue. It's a little later than we've seen. early back off the ground.
Sven went for a peek there, didn't find the red buff, so he knows Amazing is probably on the left side of things right now. It's very hard for him to gank bot with that offensive try-ward out of SK Gaming 2. SK Gaming have the push on bottom. SOAS neutralized the push on top because Svenskund showed on the bottom side of the map. So that means SOAS has the liberty for the next 45 seconds to a minute at least. Play aggressive on the top lane. He's now stacking that wave. Amazing. Might see some action in the mid lane. Ward's faded on both sides. Watch body slam flash. That's the key thing here.
Sven is going to be close enough to support Fox. I think Peke and Amazing had the inkling that was a possibility. Almost trading halves of the jungle.
Yeah, if you know that they know, and so on, and so, you know what I'm saying?
I know what you know.
Then you back off and you go to the Raptors instead. And then you get the wards. You smite the Raptors, then you get the knowledge. Where those wards are. Deep pink ward, I like this. I really like that pink ward. It is so hard to spot that as a jungler, and it gives you so much information, even if you don't see anybody. Again, eliminating options of the board can let you pinpoint where people are. Good deep vision control, and this again, on turn, allows SOAS to play aggressively in this matchup. He now gets the poke advantage on Freddy. Every time Freddy goes for the minions, SOAS turns on the barbecue, spitting fire.
Well, it's a great matchup. Both SOAS and Freddy are playing their most played champions this split. 5 games on Rumble, 5 games on Freddy. SOAS' Rumble is 17-6-49. Phenomenal statistics on that champion.
Yeah, he's definitely a fantastic Rumble player. Even better in this patch with the new items. But over in the mid lane, Peke has a small lead and a big pressure lead. Niels is comfortably farming. However, the one thing working...
Wait, curving the hook. Mithy's actually gone in. Only played in Rated. And Rated's going to get the dash taunt. Niels turns his attention to the Monarch Butterfly Kog'Maw. Mithy's forced away. Finally using that last cookie, but he's low on HP.
Channeling his inner Angelina Jolie to curving that hook as if it were a bullet, but you have to connect in that matchup with Candy Panda because having Shenton in top flash.
That's a taunt flash! One tower, but Candy gets hooked! The flame gets under the tower. Not long enough for the tower to pull aggro. The Lantern pulls Candy in. He capped the in surprise! Gets it! Trade 1 for 1.
Miffy with the Lantern, he drags the Niels and then flashes in offensively. He knows he's going to die in that exchange anyways, so he drops off Niels at the next station, closer to First Blood Valley, and then Niels picks it up. And this is big. This lane is still pseudo-frozen. So Niels can just CS and get a big experience advantage here. That's exactly what Corki wants, trading 1 for 1. AD carry for support. Doesn't take a good analyst to realize that that's the favorable trade.
Origin on the board, but there is a reply. So Candy Pan has made his way closer to lane. Picked up that Sheen. Longsword, there's an extra Ruby Crystal for Niels.
Yeah, good taunt flash from Unrated. Just makes me wonder why do that when you ignite just down. I mean, you know they still have heal at their disposal. And then you're so easily hooked in. Good control by Misty. There's almost out of mana for that play.
Chain of Corruption
going in.
Xbox is in trouble. Amazing. Body slam, gonna connect, doesn't even need the flash. Doesn't have access to explosive cast, but he won't need it. 2-1, OG.
And style points for the Lantern exit. Misty getting an assist. Even if you shield somebody after they have done damage, you still get an assist. Again, roaming. This is what he likes to do on first base. You will almost always see Mithy path in by Raptors into the enemy's jungle to drop deep wards. There's just so much more value to them than if you place them close to lane. And ward in the enemy jungle works to find the enemy jungler. Keep your mid laner and your bot lane safe. A ward around your bot lane only keeps your bot lane safe. So you have to play this game as a team.
Mithy doing just that. We did catch a very brief glimpse of the top lane. Hex Drinker picked up for Freddy. Pink ward deep. This is what you talked about in the earlier games today.
And nobody walks into that brush unless you suspect something. So no noise from the crowd. Unsuspecting Svenskund. Thinks he's ganking. He's off HP right now. This gives SOAS a knowledge. Okay, at least he's in half HP on the top side. We now know what his likely pathing is going to be. Either he's going to base right there. We can expect him in 40 seconds, or he will lane gank. If then Freddy doesn't give that away, sneak in, just like Amazing is sneaking in here.
He's gonna get the cast, lands the bunk barrel. Wow, that was great.
You saw him hesitate, almost. He body slammed, and at the end of the animation, he was like, do I need to flash? No, because this dude doesn't have flash. That was a beautiful explosive cast.
That just looked so easy.
That was... Well, that's what, if I try that, Kog'Maw lands in the tower.
So well played by Amazing. Good, successful gank. The vision that was placed by Mithy earlier.
Here's Sven. Sven is still looking for that first kill. Aggressively sin pick. Remember, SK brought this upon themselves. They pincered the jungle in the picks and bans, saying, Origin, you are going to first pick that Gragas or we'll take it, but we will get value in return. Value is not paying off right now for SK Gaming.
The value that SK prioritized was the Shen and the Victor. That was their first rotation picks. Despite the fact that Rated has a support, Fox in the mid lane has already been successfully ganked. And amazing Gragas, which was the first pick champion, has been involved in 2 of the 3 kills that Origin have picked up.
1,000 gold up. Pekka is just, that's what you do with Varus. You lurk around these corners, try and stay out of vision. This is why we see more and more wards in the middle of the lane placed very often too. To avoid that poke. Svenskeren, he wants to land the insect. Ward dashing to kick. He's spotted again. So such good warding from Origin so far. With very few wards placed, they seem to pinpoint every time. Maybe goes close. And look at Miffy. Because Corki's level 7, you don't need to support him anymore. Just roam.
Yeah, but we'll catch another glimpse of this top lane battle. So is overheating, out trading Freddy, but as Freddy gets closer to Mega Knock, so is backs away. And, we just saw that movement of Mithy and Amazing through the river, through the jungle. It's the second time this game already. And you were telling a story 3 weeks ago about how top-tier teams have got these threats in every role, and one of the things you liked was the jungle support synergy. Yeah. OG definitely demonstrated that.
Now, Enrated doesn't have to roam and support Shen, which honestly he wasn't the best at doing because he can use Stand United to get there, so he can put pressure on the bot lane while still being able to go to the top lane, for example. One thing you can do is as a support as well, just roam, get the other support gone, go back to bot lane, try and gank. So many options. If you thrive in chaos, you can win this chess game. Amazing right now, he wants to thrive as well. He's looking on the top lane to body slam over in darkness. Svenskeren.
Good to see Sven. Hello. Sven's gonna have small drink provided by Amazing. Sonic wave into the resonating strike. Equalizer. Defensive.
That could have been a kill. They could have fought him, but Soaz just said, okay, let's just make sure you survive. It's okay. Erring on the side of caution is definitely what you want to do. Niels now has the push advantage. Hook and poke, hook and poke. And look at how he's poking Candy Panda, because we know you hook the support, AD is going to walk up in support. Why would you damage the support if you can hit the AD carry? It's these little things that separate good players from the best ones.
With the kill that Niels and Mithy set up for themselves, they've got a 20 CS advantage. If he's going to get taunted up, but Candy Panda is far enough away. The box comes down from Mithy. Niels is committed onto Candy, but Enrated's going to finish off Mithy, his opposite number. Defensive Velk. And this time, SK commit and get the kill.
2v2, and we're starting to see why Shen's support has been such highly valued over in North America in NALCS. Not quite so much in Europe, but Enrated and Candy Panda straight up thugging 2v2, winning that trade. And Karma outscales vastly. And look at the items. This was Phage Sheen against Sheen with Phage components. So under itemized, SK Gaming wins that trade. They do burn the flash. Now Enrated can roam. And then alternatively, he can also teleport back to bottom lane should Candy Panda require it. He has double defensive summoner alive. So we could see Enrated go mid here.
And I also think important to note that Enrated and Candy committed to that fight with Ignite. Previously, they committed without Ignite and ended up costing them.
With lane gang coming in here, Miffy wants to Lantern into body slam flash. Lantern flash aggressively is what he's looking for. And United's available. Might see some action here.
So Miffy's going to walk over a ward, and Rated's been caught out. Where is the Lantern from Miffy? Held for now. Amazing did show in front of the minions.
And then the flame mind game start. You want to interrupt taunt, but you kind of have to predict it this close to a wall. Good hold from Enrated. Look at top. Svenskeren shown by another ward.
So as interrupted. Equalizer's available, as is Flash.
Good job, Svenskeren. Don't go in. Wait for the minions. You just cancelled him. This is a race against the minions. Soaz just wants to survive.
The minions are trying to be killed. Flash, he's down.
Good controlled aggression from Svenskeren. Don't get trigger happy just because you proc that Q. Doesn't mean you have to go in, and I'm talking to all my solo Q junglers right here. Stop him and dive him. Good execution. First blood on the hands. Well, first kill on the hands for Svenskeren, and that's what he's looking for with his aggressive Lee Sin pick.
But it did cost SK a tower in the bottom lane. Amazing made sure to zone away Candy and Enrated. Pekka continues to win the pressure, the tempo game in the mid lane. And that Varus is just shoving in Fox's Victor.
And League of Legends at its finest. We see a play with 2 members of SK at the top lane. That means a play with 4 members of Origin in the bot lane.
For Origin. Teleport comes out now from Soaz. There's no equalizer because he just died using it up top. Dragon actually sends a shot onto Miffy. Continues to spam fire onto SK and Origin. No allegiance for the neutral creep.
Nope.
SK have thwarted that Dragon attempt.
Origin looking for first Dragon, something to do very often. 11 first Dragons so far in their 15 first games. Looking to make it 12, 16.
It's a fantastic statistic.
It just shows that they usually have the pressure, and it also shows that they tend to lose when they don't. Visual touched upon it on the analyst desk. If they get behind in the mid game, Origin is lost, but they are now 1.2k gold up at 15 with a comfortable composition, a lot of damage, so no scaling worries, even though Candy Panda and Fox do a lot of damage in the late game. But we've seen SK falter with these double threat compositions, getting to late game. Somebody gets caught out.
And able to find the damage where they need to. You see the itemization differences here for Peke and Fox. And look, tower's going down. This is all the pressure we talked about. It's down. He's caught. Chaos Storms onto Mythy, but look at that. Equalizer, Chain of Corruption, and the Gragas barrel takes Candy Panda out. Mythy even gets out alive, and Origin get the tower.
Like taking candy from a baby. Origin take candy from SK Gaming. Kill two people, get the tower, go to the dragon. So you want to do, you want to group up with Varus and Corki, start the siege, start the poke. When SK inevitably step forward to clear that wave, that's when you use Chain of Corruption. On top of that, the equalizer. If they flash backwards, you get the tower anyways. If they don't flash, you get kills and a tower. Beautiful mid-game spike. Origin playing to their strengths.
And I'm going to expand on what you mentioned earlier, Crepo. 12 first dragons in 16 games, all from this team fight.
Now look at it. You have to walk forward to clear the wave, and then you walk into the hook. Candy Panda stands still. Chain of Corruption comes in, and then the equalizer. Fox has to walk backwards. Explosive cast to finish up that kill. So was this untouched at this point. Complete liberty to do whatever they want on the Origin side, and SK is crumbling.
Also on the side of Origin, all that work from Peke's Varus earlier just gets finalized the moment that Trinity Force was completed. Making sure it's that step-by-step process, and you can already see Niels and Mythy set their sights on the next outer turret, which is up in the top lane. Yes, please, we would like this one next.
Yeah, support is but an option for Mythy. You know, the notion that supports have to be bottom all the time is long, long gone. As League of Legends keeps evolving, and Mythy came out in a couple of interviews at the start of Split, yeah. Whereas in Season 3, he was such a predominant lane-focused player with the offensive fiddlesticks and the likes. Now he's just a roamer. Here though, phase 6.
Liberator's gonna get caught. He's not super tanky.
Restraint on the side of Origin. They don't commit, they just poke out. That's what you do. You're playing poke comp. Don't go for all-ins unless you have to.
And of course, the objective is the tower.
Yeah.
Origin making sure they don't lose sight of the goal that they're playing for.
And look at the pink ward over at the red buff that we talked about earlier. It's still available in SK's backs. So, again, Origin get information from that. That is so much value. It survived for roughly like 14 minutes already.
Yeah.
On a gold. Money well spent.
Not a regularly walked through part of the jungle in the early stages of the game. So tower should
They just pinged it. They just found it.
Should be secured uncontested.
Now Svensson wonders, how long has that thing been here? Now you can cheer for that one. That one, I'll give you that one, Berlin.
Thank you for that, Crepo. 4,000 gold up. Origin, 3 towers to 0. They've got a dragon. They've got a kill advantage. Now we need to see how do they poke SK out to get to the inner turret.
I love playing poke with double pink wards at the side. This allows Varus to move a little farther up. Flying possibilities are gone. More pressure. More pressure means SK can't counter jungle or invade, make picks. You need to make picks with this Lee Sin jungle. If you deny that, Gragas has the inevitable battle of scaling, even though he opts into Sidestone. Cinderhulk, Sidestone, tankiness, perhaps an Aegis coming out. All these stats synergize so well. CC bot, you're the prime tank. Thank you very much.
Sad Freddy. It's amazing. He's just going to put the barrel down. Pekka continues to shove up the mid lane. 20 CS advantage. 40 CS advantage for Niels versus Candy Panda.
Yeah, and this is the 5th pick Hogmaw. We have to remember, SK Gaming, their entire draft was based around hiding that 80 carry pick. We expected greatness, but it wasn't just quite enough. They did get a 2v2 solo kill on the Origin's bot lane, which is impressive. But there was no objective tied to it, and that's what Origin is doing this game. Every move they make, every step they take, they want an objective attached to that. I'll be watching you, yes. The song reference is there. I know you can't find it. It's okay, keep looking. Keep talking about the game, Trevor.
I was actually trying to find the next line. I'm like,
Yeah.
every breath, every step. I'm like, what comes next?
I'll be watching you, just like wards are watching the jungle.
Couldn't remember. Right,
SK
Crepa,
Gaming.
I'll get serious now. We're approaching 20 minutes. Origin have got a very, very strong lead.
Yep.
And yesterday we highlighted a stat that Origin were behind at 20 minutes. they've lost games. 3 games they were behind. Yesterday was the 4th, and they lost it, so they're 0-4. But when they're ahead at 20, they have won 10 out of the 11 games. So they know how to close games. And that's what we're going to need to see demonstrated from Origin once more.
Yeah, that's why at the start of the season, leading up until that fabled Origin versus Fnatic, we were kind of almost giving credit, hey, Origin might actually win this because their wins were more explosive. Up until the part where they were diving fountains at the end of the game, they were not dying that much. Different times though. Pekka no longer playing Vladimir, opting for the Varus, and honestly, Varus in Europe has been weirdly a tier 1 pick. Always gets to pick and ban, at least recently, but does so well. Discover that chain of corruption. People forget about it, and then it spreads, and you don't really see the particle all that well.
Talking about something else that Origin have spread. Vision. 3 pink wards in the bottom half of the map. Multiple stealth wards in the jungle of SK, and they've set their sights on the bottom in a turret. That's the objective. They've grouped up for it.
It's the problem when you're winning this hard, your pink wards are kind of useless. You kind of want them deep in the jungle, but you don't really want to spend another 100 gold because you want that fabled 20-minute pink ward on the map. So, catch up. Ready? Taking some gold back here. Towers destroyed. Now, Origin need to look to use that to their advantage. They're stuck on the bottom lane. It's obviously hard to find an opening. Poke is not as strong yet. Svensker is flanking in the mid lane. Pekka has to move.
We'll find out if we can find anything. We did catch a brief glimpse of Candy Panda there. Just interesting to note. He's not put any skill points into Q, that caustic spittle. So
it is normal for Kog'Maw's under pressure to do that because you really don't trade with it all too much. Yes, it's another Triforce proc, perhaps, but you're fine just getting that wave clear from that E. There's even Kog'Maw builds where you don't put any points in W, not any additional points in W, and you just max straight up E to level 3 for engage and wave clear. When enemies engage on a minion, you put the E down and you trade. There's various possibilities on this Kog'Maw. Right now, his job right now, Candy Panda wants to wave clear, keep this lane alive. Victor on Fox wants to wave clear. And they want to wait for the split push that is ready. That's when he thrives. Has the frozen mallet as well. Connect 1Q and auto and keep going, keep going.
How'd you actually bring that up? Because, of course, if Origin keep this siege up and start to poke down underneath the towers, it's all on Fox and Candy and their mana pools.
And then, obviously, Origin's approach to the game is, yeah, they get tier 1 towers. They scratch at the surface of the tier 2s and they can't find it, so they resort back to the Dragon. Second Dragon picked up 22 minutes, so Aspect is a very late win condition. We will likely see Origin move their vision control to the red side jungle. FNC Gaming forced them out. In about 4 or 5 minutes, I expect to start setting up those Baron plays. Meanwhile, Candy Panda wants to see as much farm as he can, scale back into the game.
Needs a lot of time for that, Crepo. 40 CS down, Triforce versus almost completed Blade of the Ruined King. Pekka just went back to pick up his last Whisper. He said the man immune for a while, Brutalizer. We also just saw a Leandri's Torment picked up for Soa, so he's, as far as Rumble's concerned, fully switched on.
Yeah, flame on.
Freddy, also with a Frozen Mallet and Hex Drinker. I'm just going to quickly look. Fox, 430 AP. Of course, that Hex Core Mark II giving 110 AP, plus the bonus AP from Deathcap is synergizing quite nicely for some raw stats, but not a lot of CDR.
And there's quite some damage on SK Gaming. With the slightly offensive Gnar, we can actually move away from the paradigm that is a 2-carry composition and call it a triple carry threat. However, good itemization from Amazing here. Not many junglers like building Sidestone because, you know, it's a team item. Not many junglers like building Aegis and Sidestone because it's a team item. But hey, what? It's a team game, guys. Build that Aegis because it's so efficient against Victor, Poke. Candy Panda is a very large part before the fights are setting up. Magic damage even in the fights. So, good itemization here. Allows your other parts of your team to itemize a little more selfishly. So we see good guy Baron chunking out Svensker.
Just a love tap. And all that's going on. Soaz is pushing out the bottom wave, playing it relatively safe. He's not actually gone past the Tribush. Not a lot of vision in SK's jungle. Those wards have timed out.
Remember, we are seeing a poke comp at hand with a Rumble at the side lane, so it is normal that this goes slowly. Just control the aggression is what you want. Lantern in the brush before you face check. Lantern has a bigger cast range than wards. Definitely want to do that. Slowly inching forward. So we are cheering on Origin as they do this. Brush tech with hook.
Hopeful death sentence.
Nah, you really don't want to find anything there. You're happy it doesn't connect.
We'll have to see how Origin decide to crack open the base. They've got some wards in the top half of the jungle.
Double
Decided
pink
to
ward.
group
I
up
like
middle.
that offensive pink ward. Left side Raptors. Look at those pink wards from Origin right now. This is what you need to do because your trinkets go on too long cooldowns in this very turbulence-heavy mid-game where people are sneaking in wards left and right. Pink wards last forever. Sweepers are temporary, pink wards last forever. Until they're killed, obviously.
Until they're killed, and what a depressing turn that is. Mythy and Amazing are on the Bramble back. They've got numbers. The rest of Origin below. Gonna come down to a smite fight, I feel. And it looks like Amazing won it.
Yep, Svenskers was bringing Bramble back, but wasn't enough. Stolen by Origin, a small victory for them, but they're choking out the vision. One ward is left behind enemy lines there. One little spot on your mini-map. That's where potential teleport flank from Freddy can come in with the Mega Gnar.
So with all of these CS...
Scrying Orb, Scrying Orb. I keep calling it Crying Orb. There's no tears just yet. As long as they can find that Baron alive and well, it is still a Scrying Orb.
So all of the CS that Freddy's picking up, he's got a sizable lead over Soaz. It is costing Fox rather, because Pekka is climbing, and it's costing Candy, because Niels is climbing. That's the trade-off of these battles.
Definitely trade-off. But this is what happens. Every time you put Scrying Orb down, it buys you 5-6 seconds that they're not doing Baron. Allows you to sneak in a ward now. And Rated is going to move up because he doesn't want to get hooked, but he does get hooked.
Well, gonna force to be flashing away and then dashing over the wall.
But that's another 30 seconds bot. Now they got to send in somebody else. A new challenger approaches.
It's not super effective. However, Freddy is. He was able to zone out Soaz, and he will secure the second tower of the game for SK.
And Rated had to make that move. Good flash, because if he tries to taunt his way out of there, he gets flake cancel. Now Mythy. Oh, Niels, insect.
Oh, Niels has got the Chaos Storm. Catches Mythy and Niels. Sven's looking for the kill. He will find it. Now, Svenskeren gets caught out by the box. Stand United's coming out, and Rated will arrive. That's a taunt into Amazing, and Soaz completes his teleport. He's gonna roast the butterfly. The Monarch is down as Freddy is forced to flash defensively. Death Sentence connects onto Fox, and everybody wants to die. SK are aced, and only Pekka is left standing.
From the grave. Fox takes out Mythy in the end there. What a fight. Beautiful opening by Svenskeren. Even though that fight turned out 5-4 in terms of deaths, this was still a fantastic opening from Svenskeren. I almost want to see that again. Just zero hesitation. To do that against the Thresh of the caliber of Mythy is bold. Very nimble, swift kick there. However, Origin, TP in, and Rated arguably a little late on Stand United. Good pacing by Svenskeren as well. Things to watch out for here. Q connects, path. Side steps. Oh, this is so good. Ping pong with Mythy as well. Fox flash aggressively. This is what he had to do. Get the damage. Svenskeren finishes off Niels. I want you to watch where and Rated is. And it's Stand United. It's kind of late. Look, Svenskeren is dodging damage. Now this equalizer that's about to come out is so beautiful because Candy Pan has to flash defensively. This means Soaz can flash aggressively. No Zonia, so he will drop. The Pekka is untouched. And Mythy, he thinks he's going to live. Does he actually get the shield? Yeah, he does get the shield from his own lantern. But it's not enough.
5 for 4. That was fun to watch.
Yes.
But it still results in Origin maintaining a lead and getting another tower.
But you're playing against Poke, which means usually you want your flashes to be used aggressively to engage fights. No flash on Sven, Fox, Candy, and Rated, or Freddy. All 5 flashes are down. This means a lot more liberty for Xpeke and Niels to move upwards. Obviously, they don't have flashes. The only threat right now, the man to watch, is Svenskeren. He needs to connect another Q and get another kickoff. Otherwise, OG have complete zone and poke control.
We currently have Dragon control. We've got 2 before.
Oh, we might see a Baron here.
SK want to play. Cogwall
and peel off.
is good at killing Barons. Sven is good at finding Soaz. Equalizes out 1v2. Soaz is going to start overheating. He might turn this around. That's not a tanky shit. We do see the Chaos Storm coming out. Double kill for Pekka as the piercing arrow pierces SK's heart. Another one out to Candy Panda. The big barrel bonk onto Candy as the body slam follows. Cogmore's going to stay alive, and Mythy is going to save Amazing. Niels Valks in aggressively. That's how you do it properly. Pekka ends up getting the kill. I believe that's the 3rd of the fight. Going to be looking for more.
Bold prediction, SK is going to get aced here.
Oh, good call, Cotton. Niels is going to steal the kill away. No, I didn't even notice Pekka actually died a moment ago. Hope for more, but another ace in favor of Origin.
So impressive damage there on that Rumble. That's what we were talking about, the Liandry's early. getting kicked in the extra AP, which means Rumble does more damage to squishy targets because obviously percent damage isn't as efficient as these squishy. Look at Soaz, you're dancing on the equalizer. Then Sven says, no, I don't want to get barbecued here. Turn around Soaz into the Chaos Storm, but he follows. Could have actually opted not to do so. Let's see, where does Pique go down? Can't quite see it.
Yeah, I didn't see it either.
Probably gonna walk into a Victor E or something.
We're about to find out.
Where does Pique die? Oh yeah, walks into a double Victor E proc as Niels mounts aggressively.
Yeah. I was so excited that Niels Valkyrie was successful that I missed Pique the dive.
Full caster, don't look at Exploder. Viruses.
Niels does.
Yeah, great play by Niels. 4-1-4. Rarely dies in these wins. He's very good at knowing when to go in and when not to. So very controlled aggression by him. Red buff being contested by both these teams. It's always step one. Instead of peeling back towards Baron, they go for the tower though, it seems.
And of course, Baron is going to be a threat if Origin maintain control of the vision. You can see the stats. SK's got a number of Barons. Candy Panda, he's been found, and Candy Panda's been fried. So as an amazing, just tag team him backwards. Tower will drop. Numbers advantage. No TP for Freddy. Origin may go for that Baron.
Yeah, Candy Panda came out saying how much liberty they had, how they could play with so much freedom. Well, to still be a little bit careful, that low mobility Kog'Maw. It's not the first time he got knocked into the team. Yes, he's waiting for Flash. Sven drops.
Wow, Fox is coming with a Chaos Storm, so as his Hourglass will keep him alive a few seconds longer. Lantern pulls him out to safety. It's at least delayed Baron. No, they'll still get it.
Yeah. Hit the bottom lane though. Freddy is trying to do his best, but it's not enough and waited. Wants to peek in, confirm. Yes, guys, they did pick, in fact pick up Baron. They hurt. Mayday, mayday.
Mayday indeed. So as is trying to chase down, as we see Rated trying to get away.
If he wanted to go for the Lantern Flash, but then second guess themselves, is it really worth flashing to send a message? No. At this point, I'd rather save it, to help my team. Could have flashed over the wall technically, but what do you get from a support kill? There's not enough momentum tied into that, so sometimes you want to preserve your summoners. Origin are likely. Of course, going to siege up now with that Baron buff. Fantastic analysis there, Crepo. Let's see if they go for a 4-1, full-on dive. Multiple options available for them.
For Enrated, you pick up that banner of command, as did Mythy, in fact. So we could see a lane where banter of command-empowered minions will do battle with one another.
I love banner, such a fun item. If you can finish that, if you sit on an Aegis and you finish a Baron, it's so satisfying. Hang on, Soaz.
Soaz is going to get booted backwards. Stanch United comes out.
Just not enough.
Soaz is also going to get taunted. Niels and Pique is there. That's going to be trading support for top lane. And Freddy's about to go mega. Amazing. Has got explosive cask available, but a good gravity field. Will disengage. Traded top for support. I think SK will be okay with that.
SK's happy with that. Almost got to connect on the Candy Panda Ooze on the floor there, but it wasn't enough to slow Soaz down. He had Zhonya's available, but his main priority was getting the equalizer out. Okay, steals away the blue buff. Prepared by Amazing right there. He's to hit target.
Giant minion.
That's one big minion. So not only does it get buffed by the Baron, it stays out of tower range as we know, and it is now immune to magic damage. This is the biggest proponent of Banner of Command, which means poke from Victor will not take that down. It only hits his Freddy's Boomerang Blade, but you could slowly watch that cannon creep take it. But Fox, Chain of Corruption.
It connects. Fox is still alive for a few seconds longer. The cask will split up SK. Dragon's Rage will find Mythy, but that's not the target you're looking for. Sven Skeren is going to be able to escape. He finds the Wolf Camp, but they may kill him. Auto attack's not going to connect, nor will the barrel. Locket, I believe, keeping Sven alive. Origin secured the inhibitor.
And obviously the Wolves are cheering for SK to lose here. We could see it in the cat right there. The Copenhagen moves, however, want SK to lose, because if SK win this game, the Wolves are automatically relegated. They're getting some help from neutral minions, unlike the Dragon, who's completely impartial. Wanted some Sven Skeren blood right there.
Weren't able to get it this time round, but Origin will set themselves up for more. Another banner-empowered minion. Candy Panda's been caught, but he's flashed away to safety. The long-range auto attack plus a boomerang is going to be able to get a kill, but SK lose their tower. Origin still going to be happy.
Amazing, kind of forgot that he didn't have his ultimate. Sven Skeren does though.
He's found Pique, but there's no support from anybody else. Sven, you need a team if you want to jump in. With him going down, Origin now reapply the siege. Banter of Command Minion also helping on the inhibitor. Origin, 2 inhibitors down, decide to back away.
This is what they wanted. This is what they came for. They sacrificed their jungler in the process. But they open up 2 inhibitors right now. SK Gaming under pressure. 9,000 gold behind.
12 minutes. Let me rephrase that. 6 minutes from a potential aspect. Origin have had absolute dragon control this game. And actually they do exceptionally well with dragons throughout the split. Coming into this game, they'd actually secured the 2nd highest at 40 dragons.
Yeah, Origin have done a great job of not giving away too many objectives. And while the tower score reached 3, you would expect that to be the first 3 tier 1 towers. However, if you look in the mid lane, Expect's tower is still at 85%, and that's what we were talking about. Don't let Fox push you in. Push aggressively. Pekka did that with only 1 trinket ward. He managed to spot Svensker coming around at the right side earlier at the 4-5 minute mark. So beautiful game read by the veteran Expect. Honestly, this was step 1 into keeping SK at bay. Svensker did not find his opportunities in the early game. He eventually found a kill, had some sweet moves, but it was too late. OG was already in full motion.
And it's not the first time that that's happened to Sven either. He's played Lee Sin twice before. And Sven either goes huge and puts the entire of SK in his backpack, or he tends to be non-existent. It's tied in champion as well.
It is tied into their playstyle as well. Svensker tries when you push. He's probably one of the best triple lane push counter junglers because he capitalizes on everything. However, he needs help from his team. Oh, flank, Mega Gnar.
There is some help. Mega Gnar's going to pop. Chain of Corruption did not connect on the Gnar. Gets a double stun into a double taunt into a double kill. SK have found 2 and OG are in full retreat.
However, they found Soaz and the support mid-D. The key members are still alive. Poke from Pecky and Niels are still alive. However, that was a beautiful teleport from Freddy. He's not too happy with it though. Then again, Freddy, when are you happy?
Freddy suffers from a little bit of the Ryu syndrome. He's happy on the inside, I promise. Maybe not right now, because SK still have to dig very, very deep, and they've got so many super minions to deal with. But luckily, Fox and Candy will get some much-needed farm. One small solace.
Yeah, that's the...
Hey, I'm trying to dig a positive here.
Always look on the right side of a down inhibitor. Farm, farm, farm. However, that farm turns into pressure. 1 minute, 15 seconds remain for Baron buff. OG didn't yield the pressure, but SK were looking for time and they got it. And now it's time for Origin to put on the pressure. No wards on the Baron at the moment. Next Baron buff could be crucial, could be vital to finish out this game. Both teams are aware of this though.
Origin used the previous Baron extremely effectively.
Yeah.
1 Baron buff, they got 2 inhibitors. This is the replay of their team fights.
Now let's see if there were any other options available for Freddy. He could have passed up there. Choke off. Soaz from the team. Knock. Taunt. Stacks CC a bit. Fox goes aggressively. Used his flash, I believe, for that though. Double check. Yeah, he did in fact flash, so 2 kills for an offensive summoner that you need defensively. I mean, you can't even say it's a bad play because they got 2 kills. It makes me scared for SK's next fight. Keep your eyes on Fox and his positioning. He will need to go full Super Saiyan.
Nobody on SK has flash yet. Mixed and matched cooldowns.
And look at Origin. They're playing for Baron, but they're doing that by not moving towards the Baron. They're aware of their flanks. Chain of Corruption. Svensker drops.
Not going to find Niels unprotected twice in a row.
You don't have to stand around the Baron to play for the Baron. That's what Origin is doing. Pressure on the bot lane, Inhib is down. Pressure on the mid lane, Inhib is down. Wards in the enemy jungle. Force SK to make predictable moves and then punish them. Good hook by Mithy. Now you can peel back. There's no smite. Valkyrie over the wall. Mithy's gonna...
No teleport from Freddy, no jungler.
Planted a little early. I'm helping, I'm shielding. Hey
Easy
guys,
Baron.
Support. Alright, Baron down, amazing, still half HP. Deciding whether he bases or not. And Soaz, honestly, doing a phenomenal job on the split push rumble. Yes, he's died a couple times, but with his job, that's 1 big cannon creep right there. I always like naming them, too.
Naming them?
Yeah, usually Bob or something simple. Because you, as a support, you attach a bond to your cannon creep. You really want to watch it like Bob 1 shot. Shots.
Bob's doing a great job of sieging down this tower.
And Victor can't touch it. Freddy has to start harassing this cannon creep, else we see the inevitable demise of this tower. Go, Bob.
Come on, Bob. You can do it. We believe in you.
All right, SK wants to flank. No teleport on Freddy either, because Soaz is split pushing.
Oh, no.
Multiplying.
Oh, no. No, Bob.
So young. But he did his job.
That's the weirdest game we've ever played.
Yep. However, Soaz is spreading out this Baron buff to the bot lane, and he's removing the hard engage on the side of SK because they really need that Gnar ulti to win fight. Svenskern going in.
Wild's not going to find a target. Freddy's got Mega Gnar. The cask actually helps Freddy a touch. Pekka goes against the wall, and Candy Bandit gets the kill. Niels is hammering down on the side, though. They've traded 1 for 2. Niels seems to be getting the better of the deal. He's looking for more. The Void Ooze is going to slow them down. Ends up being a 2 for 2.
Great positioning by Fox in that fight, and amazing. With a bit of an oopsie. Look at the bottom lane though, that inhibs down.
Niels gets it! Niels gets the kill, the flash forward from the body slam of amazing. Gonna get more. Soaz was burning down Fox, and Freddy's looking for the kill, but he's gonna get dropped as Niels gets more. 26 to 15. The inhibitor in the top lane has been cracked open.
Niels is 10-1 in 8, only died once, involved in 18 out of 26 kills. Origin looking to close.
Origin taking down the Nexus turrets. Killing SK's dreams for now, giving Copenhagen Wolves some hope, and more importantly, holding on to sole position of 2nd place in the standings.
Amazing leads overs. Yeah, guys, sorry about that. Other than that, beautiful engages though. Early game, amazing. Had some very, very nice explosive casks. Very underrated to see how well he used that ability right there. Niels, you can always rely on him to position well. That is one thing you have there. Origin, it all came together. Mithy with the great roaming. Soaz, yeah, he died a couple times, but he achieved something with every death. Yeah. That's what matters. It doesn't matter how many times you give up your life, as long as you keep looking at those objectives. 11 towers at the end of the game to 3 inside of SK Gaming. 26 kills to 15, 4 dragons to none, 2 barons to 0.
I want to talk about those barons just a little more, because coming into this game, Fnatic are the team with the most barons for fairly obvious reasons. 24 secured. With this game played, Origin have 17. The next closest is, 13, 12, 11, 11. Being at the top of the table helps, but what I liked about this game is just how Origin played around Baron. It wasn't inefficient. It wasn't dawdling. Unlike games you've seen earlier today, yesterday, etc., it was clean, it was efficient, and every time they started it, they either got it or they got kills because of it.
Hey, and I'm a sucker for good Baron plays. That's my passion right there, and I like the way Origin approached it. You just don't want to give your opponents any room for counterplay. Yeah. And you can do that through manipulating waves, manipulating vision. That's how you get that advantage. Eventually, your opponent has but 2 options, to yield or face check. Either way, you come out ahead. Yeah. And then for SK, it's buying time. Send in and raid. He has to use his flash, gets a ward, and that was good. Send in the scrying orb.
16th straight win of the summer split, while Elements are up and to try and stop that record-breaking run. That's not all, though, for Elements. They have a lot more on their mind. Currently, they are tied for 7th, which would be the safe place for a team of Elements, but definitely not wanting to drop below that.
Not at all. 4 Elements with the current record of 6 and 9 means if they pick up a win here and surprise everybody, they are 1 step closer to making playoffs. If they lose, which is the expected outcome, they're 1 step closer to the promotion tournament. Last split, they were safe. They are not as safe this split.
Hey, but it's Surprise Friday.
Yeah, it is. I was actually about to say exactly the same thing. It's, everybody's winning games they shouldn't, losing games that they theoretically shouldn't as well. So it's a rough spot at the bottom side of the playoff table.
Yeah, very interesting. But turning more the attention to Elements, as said yesterday, they did pull out a victory versus the Copenhagen Wolves. And you could have a little bit of criticism saying that it wasn't as convincing as it should be from them versus a team like the Wolves, but hey, the Wolves can win versus H2K, and Froggen honestly yesterday putting up a good performance.
Yeah, he really did. You just heard Forbiven's comments about Froggen as well, about how, without me being on screen, the whole hand thing that Forbiven did isn't exactly all that valid. But, Froggen yesterday, his first Varus game in the summer split, 95% kill participation for him, 11, 2, and 7, and the key thing was now Froggen on a meta pick is getting successful roams. It's just an indicator of what Froggen can do when he's on top of his game, on top of the meta.
Yeah, definitely the case. For Elements, though, they need to have a monumental change in their performance because it took far too long to beat the Wolves. Yes, the Wolves beat H2K today. Yes, the Wolves are looking better than they have. But with the way they played, Fnatic's not going to give them the chance.
No, Fnatic is definitely a team that would punish that. Yesterday, Fnatic in their game versus Giants. Was it Giants?
Yesterday, ROCAT.
ROCAT, excuse me. I was a little confused. But their game versus ROCAT, because the only thing I could think of, honestly, was the Riven coming out from Huni, building up a massive CS difference, and it was just fantastic to see.
It was fantastic to see. We already touched on this in the intro, just how much Huni did. 97 CS at 20, up at 20 against Steve, and honestly, he was doubling his gold for most of the game.
Yeah, it really was. The thing that stands out to me the most, though, is it wasn't Huni playing Riven that actually won the game. It was playing around the threat of Riven. There were multiple times where Huni had a lane frozen with a Twisted Fate and a Rek'Sai in his team saying, I dare you to bounce this wave. I dare you to fight us, because then Twisted Fate and Rek'Sai will respond. Fnatic had a game plan. There was inherent risk involved, more than we've seen in recent weeks, and they still played it out competitively. Deficio said it best yesterday that Fnatic went back to an MSI style of team composition. It had an element of risk that needed execution to work, and it was executed flawlessly.
Yeah, flawlessly. We'll see if maybe they pull out another special pick in this game today. And for a look at the lineups, let's head over to Pyrotechnics and Deficio at the caster desk.
Thank you very much, Shax. We're swapping in here on the caster desk. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at those lineups. On the blue side today, there are the 6 and 9 elements, which means we've got JWoww, Dexter, Froggen, Tabs, Nif, and their coach, Martin Mogensen.
Martin Mogensen. That's a lovely Danish name for me. I am very proud you can almost say correct Pyro
I'm getting
right
there.
now.
I'm trying.
Fnatic on the other side, of course, currently still undefeated. We have Huni in the top lane, Rainova in the jungle, Febiven in the mid lane, Reckless as the AD carry, Yellowstar support, and of course, Daylor the coach. And I really want to talk about this Riven pick. Analyst just mentioned it. I almost think that Elements should ban it, even though Huni's only played it once, and here's why. Fnatic on red side will most likely ban Ryze again, and therefore try and force Elements to first pick a Rumble to get an AP top laner. That would enable Froggen to play the Varus mid lane, which he was so good on yesterday. However, if you do that and Riven is open, we know that's the counter pick for Huni against it. And I don't think Elements as a team has the coordination or strong enough early to mid game to prevent that snowball from happening that we saw yesterday against ROCAT. So if they don't ban that Riven, we might see this play come in once again for Fnatic where they're fine giving up this Rumble pick, then take the Riven into it, and I'm not sure how Elements would respond to it.
Well, they've clearly always got it in their toolbox. You know, Huni mentioned in the interview that is something that he's prepared as a counter pick, whether or not that's something he's just saying or something that...
Oh, no,
definitely
it is definitely.
Yeah. That is something that they have to respect and fear. Now, we're going to have to take a look if that's the case as we head into picks and bans. Elements, of course, will be on the blue side for this game. Fnatic on the red, immediately starting off with a Rek'Sai ban.
Yeah.
Once again, targeting Rainover's champion pool, which, as we know, has been hit a few times.
But a very good ban against Rainova. I think this is his strongest champion by far, especially because of the global pressure it brings, which is something Fnatic uses so well. I mean, you don't want to try and play the map against Fnatic. It is almost always going to go wrong for you. Fnatic are so good at controlling these minion waves and use these globals effectively. So far, Riven is still open. We might see Elements to try something different and not even go for a potential Rumble early pick, and therefore don't really care about a Riven coming in from Huni, because he obviously has so many other picks as well to play.
Of course, the Jace ban against Febiven, who's had a series of good games on that one. I suppose he's pretty much had good games on just about everybody, or rather Fnatic has as a team. And also the Evelynn ban too. So Fnatic, interesting choice against Dexter here, who's, you know, leaving the Gragas up there, kind of trying to see if Elements will first pick it.
Yeah. I like the Evelynn ban though. Dexter was so strong on it yesterday as well. Sorry, not yesterday, but if we look at last week, we had great early game, and he's super important for the early game of Elements. So that's a pure target ban against him. We have to see what else is open. Gragas, as you said, 2 junglers being banned away. We have Alistar open as well, Ryze and Rumble. So the 2 AP top laners, the main ones we normally see, are gone. Therefore, Elements also saying we don't have to ban the Riven, because we weren't even planning on running the Rumble in the first place. So they're just going to swap it up instead. And normally, a Gragas would come in as a first pick, but also now with Sivir banned and Kalista dropping down in value. Just a bit. Corki rises up. I do think Gragas would have been a fine first pick as well, though, for Elements.
Yeah, clearly they were valuing that Corki, however, so Rainover will be happy to let the Gragas fall into his hands. And the Kalista for Reckless would not be a surprise, even on patch 5.13. We have still seen it used to great effect, but there's still time on the clock.
Yeah, this is one of the other AP top laners Huni has played before, obviously the Echo.
That's not, though.
Haven't seen it in a few weeks. No, that's not one of them, unless the AP Tryndamere is back
really.
with Ruined Glaive.
Yeah,
instead, though, Fnatic will get power picks for themselves. With Elements taking away that Corki, knowing that Reckless can just take Kalista anyway later on, that is his most played champion. Yes, again, it has been toned down a little bit, but it's still a fantastic pick. And that's why I think it's so scary that you now also give this jungler over to Reignover, because you are the one who banned the Rek'Sai. And that suddenly loses quite a lot of value, because he can still pick up Gragas.
Yeah, we'll have to see if this does prompt Dexter to go ahead and go towards the Elise. We saw it be very well effectively used earlier today. Didn't think the Anivia was going to happen, but you know, Froggen did play last split at least once when he had a chance.
He tends to randomly find ways to play.
He just likes to pass over it, you know, hover it and see what can happen.
I mean, if Fnatic ran a low mobility composition that had to try and engage on Elements, the Anivia would work wonders, but would obviously not be a blind pick right now for him.
I mean, you can't take a risk like that. It's so early on. You're facing off the best team in Europe, and it looks like we will be seeing a Nidalee and, of course, a Shen pickup. Remember, this is a flexible pick.
Yeah.
Go to Nif or JWoww.
So also this Nidalee pick, this is what we see more and more now, also with Ruined Glaive getting a buff in the early game, here in 5-13, especially for Nidalee. She comes in as this early game jungler that can go even with the Rek'Sai, but beat the Gragas in the early fights at least. And that's where Elements are looking for early pressure from Dexter. This is what we talk about. He needs to be the guy setting up his lanes, because on their own, Tabs and JWoww are not going to win the lanes. Froggen, you can trust. The two side lanes have not been performing well enough that Dexter can just leave them alone.
I'm curious to see what route Dexter decides to go with this Nidalee, because the two successful Nidalees we've seen on 5-13, Svenskeren and Diamond Prox, took a very, very different path. That's something for in-game, obviously. We'll take a look at it. But Diamond definitely had a bit more of a late-game scalability going to him. But Sven, man, did he make it hurt early on. And if Dexter can get that same kind of impact, Fnatic could be in trouble here. Very quick lock-in, or rather, still hovering on the Tristana. But there we go. Okay. Now they lock it in. And a Jarvan. Now, where could this be going?
So, I mean, Huni could take it to the top lane. We have seen Jarvan in the mid lane as well. Gravity played it over in NA as an example. So for now, it's still a flex pick. Obviously, Fnatic very heavy on the physical damage side at the moment. Tristana, though, it's a pick I really like. I think now also with other AD carries being nerfed a little bit, she really rises up in value. Fantastic tower pushing ability. At the same time, her laning phase is honestly pretty decent after she's been getting a few buffs here and there. So I think it's a strong pick overall for Fnatic. Obviously, with Alistar, not exactly going to be there. The lane where you destroy people in the early game.
But you want to wait till you scale that up, and that is true. The Tristana is a very, very fast-pushing tower menace, really, and a lot safer than other similar champions like Jinx, for example. Now, Elements, they go ahead and lock in the mid-Varus, and also the Janna for Nif, so we now know where that Shen will be going.
Yeah, and look here what Elements decided to do. This is why they first picked the Corki. So you have Corki as the AP, or somewhat of an AP champion. You have Nidalee in the jungle. That does enable you to get a Varus in the mid lane because you have a fine mix of damage coming in. So for Elements, that's why they first picked that Corki here, and that's why they banned the Rumble to avoid the Riven as well from Fnatic. It is a poke comp, very standard, loads of focus on long-range poke, and then of course a disengaging support. However, Fnatic have run Twisted Fate before against them, and he's such a good pick into poke if they decide to lock it in. Also to camp the Jarvan lane. Orianna would be a lot more passive though for them.
Yes, that is true. However, there would definitely be some ball delivery, but that's not going to happen today. Febiven opts into the Victor. We will have some poke and some lasers flying back and forth in that mid. However, Fnatic, they are getting a chance to experiment just a little bit here. New picks coming out across the board. Let's see how Huni performs on that Jarvan versus JWoww on the top.
Another big carry for him that has risk in it. I mean, Jarvan, you want to snowball that early game. At the moment, it's mainly going to be Reignover to help him. There's no Twisted Fate like we saw yesterday with the Riven pick. Instead, the safe one. It's the Victor. It's easy wave clear for himself. It's fantastic late game scaling. You have Tristana, you have Victor as a backline threat here if you are Fnatic. So their scaling is great. 1-4 setup, potentially, Jarvan in one lane. Good thing about Tristana as well is she's a safe AD carry because she has obviously her W to jump away. She can even shoot people with ulti, so you can even put her in a side lane if you want to push 3 lanes at once and then just group them together once you want to start pushing these towers down. So very standard Fnatic setup, even though there's obviously a few new picks for Reckless and for Huni.
This puts a lot of pressure, especially on Dexter now to, as we said, he had to make an impact in the early game, but He especially has to with this scaling effect that's going to be coming into play. The Tristana, the Jarvan, if it gets ahead, the Victor, I mean, there's some scary damage potential, but let's see who can take this one away. Will Fnatic continue their undefeated run, or will Elements grab a win to stay alive in the playoff race? You guys tell us at home. Hop on Twitter, hashtag FNC win, or hashtag Elements win. Deficio's mom, I think she's saying hi back, guys. No time for that, though. We're going on to the Rift. Here we go. Elements versus Fnatic.
Gonna be a great game here, Pyra. We see so many of these poke competitions, and once you play them, you have to make plays in the mid game. You cannot just sit back and play passive. That is gonna force Elements to be proactive on the map, but it's also gonna give openings to Fnatic to set up these big plays. Huni can engage team fights, but he can also be the split pushing threat for himself. I wonder if he's just gonna go Brutalizer and Tiamat and just become such a bully.
JWoww might want to watch his back. Nif is actually going to back him up here. We may be looking for an Elements lane swap as Tabs. The rest of the team is around the side. Dexter hiding in the brush. Pixel brush. Rainover moving away from the rest of the Elements as he's revealed themselves.
See a random spear flying out of the jungle. You don't always want to stay around. Obviously also for Elements, it's a lot about playing it fairly passive the first 15 minutes. You want to get the Trinity Force on your Corki. You want to get 1 or 2 items completed on your Varus in the mid lane before the siege really starts happening. Fnatic running wave clear mid lane. Tristana, once she gets better time obviously at the waves, will start clearing them. Fairly effective as well. But really the thing for Fnatic here is Huni being the split pushing threat, Reckless being safe enough to sit in the side lane as well and maximize farm on your carries, and then group with Febiven, and you have zone control from the Victor, and you have the tower damage from Reckless. Once you get your E on the towers, few hits, it just explodes.
Oh yes indeed. So Reckless and Yellowstar still hanging out close to the bottom as they've warded away to try and take some Krugs away, as Nif, Tabs, and JWoww are moving up to the top side. You have to take a look back to week number 3 when these teams last met. Obviously a win for Fnatic. They had a very massive lead over Elements. I don't think you could really predict that one coming to Fischio in all honesty. But this time, Elements are looking to maybe make things a little bit different, being some proactive, moving up to the top side, knowing they may not be able to do too much with this very safe starting lane, and maybe keep Huni on the back foot.
Yeah, and it's Elements swapping against the Jarvan pick. Normally, when you have a Shen, you don't want to lane swap. He excels at having a standard lane where he can get free farm in the start, get the first tanky item very early on, and then start becoming this global threat. In a lane swap, he kind of loses some of that, and he often gets denied quite a lot of farm. We need to see how Elements wants to play it out. If they leave the top lane to JWoww once the tower goes down. Also, the Corki Janna lane would have been more than fine into Tristana Alistar, so they're giving up a bit of lane pressure, but obviously lane swaps right now tend to be very fast. Just like 4 or 5 minutes, first tower's gone down, you tend to swap it back. And now it's already on the first tower. As you notice, JWoww is here. I expect Elements to give him that lane once tower goes down. Dexter, meanwhile, he just continue farming. You don't need him up in this lane. Instead, get a strong jungler. Also enables him to gank potentially the mid lane if there's an opening. Right now, though, Varus is pushing him.
Yeah, not really going to be able to get much of an opening there. JWoww actually tanking the tower for just a moment as they clear away the last cannon minion standing between them and finishing it off. Not so many problems with Fnatic down the bot side. Dexter just will be able to get himself a buff there. Fnatic definitely able to take their time about this one. Very standard stuff with the 3v0s that we've been seeing lately.
Just complete mirror from both teams, and what we then so often see is Fnatic leaves the lane to Huni, send Reckless and Yellowstar to the top lane, especially when Huni's playing these carries. And then they're going to swap top instead and have this 2v1 lane against the Shen, while Huni can then get a slow push down towards them. Notice how Yellowstar already left the lane, setting up for Dragon. Reckless is going to do the same. This is no longer a meta where the AD carries are the main focus. They're no longer star players. You know, we got tired of them. Instead, top laners, you're going to get full tower. You're going to get all the gold. 275 for Huni.
Especially if you're somebody who can carry the way he can. Fnatic will also be able to secure themselves a very early Dragon unless Dexter can do something about this. He's got the ward on it, puts his heal up. It's going to have to be a hell of a javelin. Rainover is the one who gets hit with it. The Nidalee goes in. The Nidalee gets knocked up. The Nidalee hops back, but the Dragon's still alive. Smite it down. Who's it going to go to? That's first blood given over to Reckless. All of a sudden, it goes haywire. Fnatic have secured the Dragon, but they may lose their lives. Huni has got to be on the run. Elements snap the trap shut, but they can't catch anybody.
Fnatic managed to disengage, get the Dragon, get their first blood here. Dexter landed the spear and was like, okay, I'm gonna kill him now. This is so easy to me. Just jump in. The heal came in from Reckless, saved Rainover. They got the kill as well. But basically what happened here, Fnatic was slower at taking down their tower, so Elements had time to bounce the wave top, then recall to the bottom lane. Notice how we have Tabs as well down here in the bottom lane with Dexter, because they already killed the top tower. So he's going down, the heal saves Rainover, and everyone from Fnatic now just wants to disengage after getting the dragon. Taunt so close and just flashing out, but Elements were faster at pushing, allowed them to almost stop the dragon, but it allowed also JWoww to get quite a lot of farm, while Huni was busy down the bottom lane.
It's the one saving grace for Elements right now after all that they tried so close to being able to secure the dragon. A couple of kills. JWoww got some farm, but Reckless now is on cleanup duty up top, and he's perfectly happy with that amount of CS he'll be picking up, not to mention that first kill.
And this right here is one of the reasons we don't see these early dragons very often anymore, because in these lane swaps, it's so much about just 10, 20 seconds that can be impactful. And this early dragon obviously delays you a lot. You don't farm anything, you don't get a lot of XP because you're just standing there with multiple members on the dragon. So Huni is stuck in the bottom lane because Reckless is now getting the priority farm top for himself, and he's freezing it, something Fnatic did yesterday as well. Meaning the other two lanes have to play extremely careful, because your AD carry is stuck up there. He's not going to go anywhere. He's just sitting and he's applying zero pressure for now.
So after that brief moment of excitement, we're back to a lot of pressure on the bottom side. However, a semblance of normalcy here. Elements have a gold deficit of about 500, mostly courtesy of that first blood, and pretty much all even across the board elsewise, except for that dragon that went so closely Fnatic's way.
Yeah.
Still, a lot's going to be on Dexter to try to make big plays, big impact. Right now, he's trying to keep up in farm versus Rainover, who's sitting on his bomb. He's Cinder, working his way towards the Cinder Hulk. JWoww's going to head up to the top in the meanwhile.
He's going to catch the wave. Reckless is slowly building up here, and obviously in lane swaps, it's not even that much about the goal. It's about the experience on the members. For now, Huni's level 4, but he's getting the waves down here bot lane. JWoww is going to go and try and catch the wave. We see Reckless build up. So both top laners staying even in that case. Huni though catching a bit of farm. Got the help from the rest of his team to secure it. Got to stop a push as well from Elements. Rainover might go and punish JWoww. If he shows himself too early in the lane, it's a very long lane he can gank in. He just needs to wait for these minions to come down to his tower.
Huni's still stuck under that tower for the time being. He's got a couple of ward companions there just to make sure no one is going to try to get the dive on him. Meanwhile, Tabs and Nif will have some free farm out of themselves. Rainover hanging out up in the top in case JWoww tries any funny business. Yellowstar's following him though.
And JWoww just placed a very smart ward here to spot exactly this. Notice also how Yellowstar is walking behind Rainover, so he knows Rainover is going to spot the potential ward. And therefore, he doesn't waste any time if they felt like there was no chance of the gank working. Obviously here, the plan is not even killing JWoww. He's saying, you're not getting any farm.
And get him off the tower.
Steve didn't get any farm yesterday. That worked wonders for Fnatic. Now they're doing exactly the same. Dexter was on the top side. He recalled. No assistance for JWoww. He's now losing all these minions. Tough for him, seeing as he's already fallen behind.
Elements are going to be able to take a tower, but yes, this is the tough thing for JWoww. He's falling behind in farm versus Huni here, who has been kept down a little bit himself, but he's still going to get a wave, push his way eventually, whereas Fnatic are just not letting up on this pressure here.
But this move from Fnatic was predictable, because Yellowstar left the bottom lane, Rainover left the bottom lane. That's why Huni was standing there on his own, and he even backed away from the tower. So Elements knew there was only one place they could be, and that was up with Reckless in the top lane. Dexter could have been there to try and help JWoww, make them sit on the tower. If you're two members on the tower, 3 guys rarely want to dive you. Obviously, Huni had TP, so that might have been the counterplay for Fnatic, 4v2 dive and teleport, and that's why Elements just backed away. But it's really, really annoying for JWoww that he lost so much farm.
This is true. For Fnatic, yeah, they are making predictable moves, but they're getting away with it. This is kind of the story of the later games of the split for Fnatic. They have been behind several times. They have made mistakes. They have made plays that can be capitalized by stronger teams. However, it just has not been punished. Chaos Storm was out. Froggen looked to push in on Febivin. It will be pushed back for now.
But again, looking back at it, honestly, Elements made the right call, saying we're not going to try and defend it because Huni can teleport up and just 4v2 dive us. So if maybe we're sitting here trying to defend, get 1 minion, then we die to the tower dives. So smart enough of him to back away. Fnatic also didn't bounce the waves, so we saw JWoww catch a lot of farm from that. And it's now going even with Huni. Obviously, he's going to get a wave returning. So all in all, a good read Predictable move from Fnatic, but also Elements saying, we know what you're setting up to do, we're just going to take bot tower, and then have that even it out, or close to even it out.
Because both teams have been itching to get closer to that mid-game since they've really not been spending that much time in all the proper lanes. We'll see what unfolds here as the next dragon comes up in less than half a minute. Reckless, fairly deep. There's Tabs, Dexter, and Nif waiting in the wings, but Yellowstar has his back, and so does Rainover. See what becomes this as Febiven starts to move down into the vision. Elements know something's up. Oh,
Froggen had a great laning phase. Remember, Febiven was forced back after that dragon fight as well. Froggen was not. That was a big advantage, and again, one of the reasons these early dragons can be so risky. But Froggen on Varus has been such a key pick for him. Yesterday, he looked great on it. It allows him to have impact in the mid game, which is what we see from more and more mid laners, and Froggen has been one of the star players on this Elements lineup, so they need him to do more than just late game team fights. He can do that on Varus, that's why I think it's such a key pick for him. J-Walk going back to base, sitting ready with Teleport and Fnatic, looking to go in.
Hooney's coming. Teleport. Here comes Hooney. Dexter's already getting the hell out of dodge. There's the spear. He's going to go in with a standard of his own. Dragon a little bit low. Tabs is in the picture. J-Walk comes and gets the taunt. Dragon is secured. Rainover's caught up by the chains. Hooney might be the one going down, however. Speared by Froggen, or rather arrowed down. Reckless gets the knockback and gets the pickup onto Tabs. Right before his rocket came back off the cooldown. Dexter waits as he transforms back into the Cougar form to jump the wall.
Tabs clearly did not expect that damage. He had heal ready, but just got popped in the very end. He had 4 charges of the bomb on Febiven using cleanse, and he's just backing away. But again, Fnatic starting early dragons. Elements had multiple members around it, not respecting their damage coming in from them once again. They get the dragon, but they're forced back, and Elements get damage on some other objectives.
They might be able to push a little bit more into this, but Reckless, avoiding taking damage, is able to push them back. He's starting to become a real threat in and of himself as early as it is in the game. 2 kills so far on the board for himself, still working his way towards that Infinity Edge. But let's take a look at that dragon fight again. It was hectic.
So again, look at the minimap. You can see everyone is around the dragon. Elements is split up at first. That's not the greatest for them. You want the Varus with your Janet to protect him. That's why Reno was looking for that jump in. Hooney goes in, has to flash away. He's very low. He's very squishy. He's only level 6 right now for himself. Pippin, he's level 8 in the mid lane instead. But look here, Tabs exploding with heal ready. Didn't manage to use it because he simply didn't expect the damage coming in from Reckless. That's one of the things you got to remember. Tristana, once she gets a BF sword, now that she has a 80 scaling on her E, does pretty good damage in the mid game from that ability. Her problem is the fact that she relies so much on auto attacking otherwise, and that's why she still has a dip in the mid game, because you got to build up Infinity Edge, you got to get Phantom Dancer or Static Shift, got to get maybe towards the 3rd item before your auto attacks really become impactful, and that's why she still has a bit of a weakness, but definitely stronger than it used to be because of her E now having that 80 scaling.
With that, Fnatic, 13 minutes in this game. It's only slight lead on the gold. 2-2 in towers, obviously, thanks to the switch arounds that have been happening. But they've got those 2 dragons. Those could come in very handy earlier on. And if you take a look at how everyone's performing across the board, that Tristana is about 30 CS ahead, just about, over the Corki. So Tabs definitely has got some work to do. But at the very least, one thing saving grace right here for Elements is that Froggen has just about the same lead over Febiven.
2 former teammates, Reckless and Froggen. They're even in farm, winning against Febiven and Tabs in this case here. That's an important thing, having your Tristana scaling, but it's even better for Elements in the sense that this Varus pick is gonna be the big carry. We know Corki falls off. The poke from Froggen is what's going to win Elements the game. The whole comp is built around being able to siege. That's also why you saw Hooney stand at the Rift Scuttler. If you saw before, he was standing there getting the speed buff near the Baron. He was waiting for Elements to group and start poking towards the tower, and then he could just rush in and start a fight. But obviously nothing happened, so he just went back to the top lane. He's not been having the same impact simply because of the way the early game went. Fnatic was slower taking the tower, went for Dragon, meant that Hooney did not go get this lane to sit and farm in like we saw yesterday. And then Elements made a smart play, grouping against him, take his tower down, and obviously avoid that play up in the top lane Fnatic was setting up for us. So just smart play, and Froggen, man.
Nice steal.
I like him on Varus. I mean, he's so much more impactful in the mid game. And this is exactly what Elements need to win games.
So far, so good for Froggen. Able to snipe away a red buff from Rainover. see if he's able to get a little bit more damage dealt onto Febiven, who clears away the wave. Nice combo there. JWoww waiting around to see if he can't get a fight going with Huni. The wave at his back, but he's not going to risk it for now. Dexter moving up into the Fnatic jungle still. Timer is ticking for this team. Fnatic's late game scaling is going to be terrifying. And Elements, they've had history with late game.
True.
Not always good.
The poke from Elements will also scale well because of Frog and obviously because of Nidalee being in there. So there's multiple poke components from Elements, but you can see, again, the whole setup is group start landing this poke here, have Stand United to save one of your carries, have Nif to save one of your carries. And we also got to see Febiven building a new thing we've seen more and more mid laners do against poke on Victor is this movement speed build, where you go for Luden's Echo because it offers 10% movement speed. Now you get a Lich Bane later that's 5% as well. You obviously upgrade your Victor item, whatever it's called, forgot it now, to get the second upgrade on Q, the Hex Core, to get even more movement speed. And you use that to dodge the poke and also to get in range to blow up these squishy targets.
It makes that immobile, or rather less mobile, champion more mobile.
It's a bonus at least.
At the very least. So Huni still sitting under that tower. JWoww just keeps coming in and out, trying to trade a little bit with him. One level advantage over to Huni right now. And actually, Huni has pulled ahead once again in the farm game, but this isn't really where the game is about. The next dragon is less than a minute away. Right now, there's no wards directly in the river, but Fnatic, they've had a couple of close shaves. Let's see if they're able to get a strong one here once again.
It is very key, though, that JWoww keeps having control of Huni, because the Huni roaming down from the top lane is one of the ways Fnatic can set up a flank. Otherwise, he has to use his teleport, and that's where Elements will have double global in their advantage on the Shen to play around that. So as long as he can keep Huni in check, now that he has obviously been set behind as a top laner, that's one of the ways you can always make sure Froggen is safe in the mid lane to land his poke. We talked about how Tristana is going to sit in the other side lane just to maximize farm on 3 carries, meaning that only Febiven is here for wave clear at the moment. Reckless is obviously going to join him as well. Trinity Force is completed. Froggen has cooldown reduction, he has armor penetration, he is ready, he's loaded. Fnatic though, playing around these early dragons again. Might get the third one around 17 minutes. That's very early in the game. But every time they did it, they lost something, or at least it was extremely close. Notice how JWoww keep pushing in against Huni. He just wants to have an eye on him. Always be near to see when Huni's teleporting away. Might cost him his life though, because Febiven is coming.
It just might. There he goes, gets the taunt out, but Huni buying some time. In comes a laser, the Chaos Storm. He's able to avoid the gravity, but still, he's gonna go down, and Huni picks himself up a kill with the help of Febiven. However, Elements will trade for Drake.
Yeah, now Elements can go to the mid lane as well. The tower is already being poked down. They have 3 members around it. Taps playing out the bot lane instead though, so not gonna value just a clear push on it because they want to start the slow push in the bottom lane as well, but Fnatic gave up the dragon, knowing if Febiven goes top lane, dragon is gone. They got the 2 early ones, so not aiming for 5 dragons, instead just saying we couldn't even contest it if it was because of the poke.
There's a couple things going on in that situation. You've got the 2 early ones, so you can make the argument that yes, we can afford to give one up at this point.
Sure.
It's fine. We're going to scale really well late anyways. But another thing that gives is some much-needed gold into Huni's pocket. This guy has been an absolute essential part of a lot of their big victories. Even when he doesn't step up, yes, there's other people that will, but they want him to get ahead. He gets that team on now. We'll talk about that later as Rainover is caught up, throws a big barrel. He's burning away. There's the heal from Reckless. Second time he saved somebody today.
Good guy, Reckless.
Close call.
Saving Rainover again and again, but it doesn't matter for Elements. They're not here for the kills. They're here just to poke you back into base so they can take your towers. That's what they're playing around for. Ooh. One of the reasons also Fnatic didn't want to go for that dragon was the fact they had lost vision control around it. And if you cannot go in and start dragon instantly and force Elements to fight you, you don't want to start dragon then against the poke comp, because they're just going to sit there and shooting fish in a barrel and you just keep getting hit left and right. You tank the dragon. Either you commit to dragon instantly and take the fight, or you don't even start it in the first place. That was what Fnatic decided. And therefore they went top as well for the kill. But mid tower going down. Elements playing safe and just fine here in the mid game.
They certainly are, but they are indeed making plays. Someone who criticized them for in the very early on in the split, they just weren't getting as much done. And I have to agree with you. I love Froggen on this Varus pickup. It's been a new development for him, but so far it has been working wonders. We are approaching 20 minutes in the game. The gold is close on dead even. 2 dragons to 1, 2 towers to 3. Elements are looking to make a statement here, keep their playoff hopes alive, and to be the first team to knock off Fnatic in the European LCS this split.
Now, we've seen this before from Fnatic. We've honestly seen it even worse, where they were down 3-4K gold at 20 minutes, and they still managed to come back and win the game. So this is by no means bad. I mean, they're heading gold. Fnatic also playing against this massive mid-game spike of the Varus and the Corki on their side. They're just going to scale up Fevin. They're going to scale up Reckless. 2 early kills. There's no rush for Fnatic at the moment. But it's still fun to see a team like Elements improve as well over the split. And it's funny if you look at Nuke Dog from Rocket and Froggy at Elements, 2 players we were saying they are so good, but we need to see more impact from them. Now that we have this poke meta, they have been stepping up, both also on Varus. I mean, that champion, man, is blessed.
Yeah, quite well. Solid win rate into the European LCS. Huni tries to go in onto Nif, and he will not be able to find nearly enough damage, but he does go in for the Demacian dunk, and Dexter takes some serious damage. Chaos Storm, though, isn't going to go anywhere. Fnatic will have to back away empty-handed.
Dexter just doing a little bit of damage to Huni, saying, this is what I can. Huni turns around, just destroys him in a second, and forcing 2 flashes for himself. Obviously very key in trying to delay the push, because you want to make sure that Elements is too afraid to group up and siege. The flank wards are going to be so key. You can see 2 of them here just left the Froggen. That's one of them is going to spot Rainover. When you play a siege composition, you got to ward your flanks both sides every single time, and you got to knowledge about what wards do you have behind you in case the TP comes in with the flank, because that's the only thing that can really mess you up. It is the flanks against poke comps.
The answer can potentially be to go off and side push it yourself. You talked about Huni and his split push potential, but Reckless, he may get pincered here, but he's certainly going to get a tower for it. Tristan, and remember, out of all the 80 carries you can split push with, this one is probably one of the safest, and he just might get away.
Yeah.
They know exactly where Dexter is, and he'll get up.
You can fast push the waves. You can fast push the towers. You will destroy them. They don't stand a chance. You are safe because you have your jump, you have your ulti to shoot someone back. So Tristana is one of these 80 carries that can handle herself. And obviously we have seen more and more from Reckless where Fnatic use him as a bit of a split pusher now that Assassin is no longer in the meta. It used to be Febiven who would go to the side lane like Zed or LeBlanc and apply pressure, but that no longer happens because these Assassins are not played. Instead we have the control mages in the mid lane, so he's the wave player, farming up for the late game team fights, and then it's Reckless on Kalista, on Tristana in this case here, who's more applying pressure on the side lanes, and it's working for Fnatic. Got a very easy tower there and didn't even lose anything for it.
But they do have to be very careful of getting within the crosshairs of Elements, in particular Froggen. His piercing arrows just continue to harass the hell out of their health bars. With 1 minute left to go until this next dragon is up, Fnatic are committed to not making the same vision mistake twice. But Froggen and crew are committed to finishing off this tower. Another shot into Huni's face.
Element should move into Dragon and start setting up their wards. They're... Oh, Huni.
Chains.
So close,
Oh,
Froggen.
he's slowed. Gonna get it.
Oh, he had flash, he didn't use it. Huni, greedy, saving the flash, but Froggen sniping him out. I was just about to say Elements, they need to move in and start setting up vision around the Dragon. So they force Fnatic once again to just step away from it, not having to walk into all this poking, not being able to instantly start the Dragon. Teams always want to, at least a minute before, start setting up for it. Nif is moving in now, so they don't really have the greatest deep vision on the side. Tell a lie, because Dexter just got in a ward. Now, Reckless thought he was going to jump over.
Yeah, he's taking a little bit of damage though. The Hail of Arrows helping out as well. Froggen flashes over, tries to finish it off, but he can't quite polish off the Yordle. Fnatic, however, they're zoned away from this Dragon for now. This could be Elements number 2.
Same thing again here for Elements. They play around Dragon really effectively. Fnatic can now be happy they took these 2 early Dragons, obviously to stop Elements from start snowballing out of control that way. But it is a problem how Elements is controlling this mid game around the objectives, and Huni giving over that kill to Froggen as well.
Saved his flash.
Save it for what?
Not to find out. Maybe he's got a few more minutes before that really becomes irrelevant, but Elements now finding a few Fnatic members in their own jungle as they look to take their blue buff, or rather Froggen does. It's going to be Dexter that ends up securing it. Might have been a little spooked by the fat man hanging out in the brush. Fnatic are stacking pretty heavily on this top side. They might want to try to fast push and bait a fight.
Well, Febiven is back in base, so that's not really going to be an easy task here for Fnatic. If Elements realize there's only 4 guys pushing, so that's why Fnatic just backs away instantly from this one. They are looking instead for Elements to set up a group and then try and get disengaged from Huni. Combine that with Rainover, combine that with Yellowstar, you have 3 massive amounts of CC against squishy targets like Varus, like the Corki. Even Nidalee is gonna die extremely fast. So that's what Fnatic is waiting for. Because they haven't been able to set up this split push. We saw with the Riven, with the Jarvan, because of the way lane swap went. Because Elements have kept pushing in the mid lane. That was something Rocket didn't do yesterday. They sat back down in their own towers. They were afraid of moving out of their own base. That allowed Fnatic to set up split pushing and trade picks. Now Elements is constantly just trying to push in the waves. Look at his tower.
They're going to be able to muscle it down. Just wait a few more seconds with the minions, and Tabs will take a Gatling gun shot to it. You can really tell where the focus for these teams has been this game. Elements, they've taken out all of the towers to the inhibitor one in the middle. Fnatic, they've done the same in the bottom. It's really been about the sideways for Fnatic, but Elements are muscling their way forward when they get a chance.
Can't really push on a Varus, just sitting in the mid lane, Frog in style. He's just gonna wave clear over and over, and his tower is still alive. Probably even close to full HP, yeah, just on like 90% HP. So it's better taking any damage on the side of Elements, and that's key as well. You need that mid tower to stay alive, because it makes it so much easier for you to ward your flanks. Once it goes down, Fnatic opens up the map, and oh, taps. Yeah, we got more people incoming, by the way.
He's burning low, but still, in comes Yellowstar, goes in for the dunk, but he goes down, Reckless hops in, Tabs is knocked and locked, and JWoww could be the next as he gets the taunt off, burns his flash to get away. All said and done, it's a 1-for-1.
Trading 1-for-1, Huni is very squishy. Obviously building full damage on the Jarvan, and Tabs realized it just turned around. Poked him down, Moby boots as well, so Huni really looking to start roaming around. He knows he cannot establish the split push, so he has to be the flanking option. He has to be the engage for Fnatic. But that's why his build becomes super risky. Because if he cannot go in and one-shot a target, he's gonna die himself so fast. We saw it just before. That was Taps alone, by the way.
Yes, it was. JWoww saved by his innate tankiness throughout all of that as well. Fnatic are definitely trying to make a lot of moves, but they're trading even, and gotta wonder, some of this different play is really worth the experimentation at this point. Fnatic and Elements are keeping pace for pace here. The whole game, 300 separates the two of them.
Everything Fnatic do at this point is going to be worth it in terms of trying out new champions.
It's very true.
I mean, we are the ones talking about 18-0. We haven't heard Fnatic talk about it at all. So for them, even dropping a game wouldn't do anything. They're locked as first place. They can try out some of these new picks, maybe change the strategies here and there. Maybe jump in on JWoww. I mean, why not?
A lot of damage on the Shen, but he may get a pick off onto Reckless. The spear is just barely going to miss. Froggen still trying to dissuade Fnatic from even getting